Port Angeles at a large dealer group. What does this mean to you? Best deals, best price, best trade at low payments. Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and the entire Ford lineup. Experience the all-new Gillis Auto Center in Shelton at the City Center Matlock exit and 24/7 at GillisAutoCenter.com.
For iFIBER One News Radio, I'm Jeff Slickey taking a look at sports at 6:08. Sue Bird has signed a multi-year deal with the Seattle Storm. The team announced the contract yesterday. 35-year-old Bird was the top free agent in the WNBA this season, although she has always expected to stick with the team that she has spent her entire career with since being drafted number 1 way back in 2002. Bird averaged 10.3 points and 5.4 assists last season in 27 games. She helped Seattle win the WNBA championships in 2004 and 2010. Bird will take part in training camps for the U.S. women's national team this month in Connecticut. Bird has helped the Americans win the last 3 Olympic titles, and the U.S. will be trying for a 6th straight gold medal in Rio this summer. He's not an official part of the 33rd annual Yukon Quest Sled Dog Race, but a bicyclist set a new record along the frigid and exhausting course between Fairbanks, Alaska, and Whitehorse, Yukon. Fairbanks resident Jeff Oatley completed the 1,600-kilometer race on his bicycle with one of those fat tires, which is about 12 centimeters wide. I don't have the conversion, it's too early. Allowing for it to float across soft surfaces such as snow. Wow, that's amazing. Whitehorse radio stations up there says that Oatley pedaled the exact course followed by the dog teams crossed the finish line Whitehorse Monday just behind the second place musher. Former WWE wrestling star and Aberdeen native Daniel Bryan is speaking about why he is retired at the age of 34. Bryan, along with his wife and fellow WWE star Brie Bella, told ABC News that he started to suffer seizures after concussions, leading his decision to quit wrestling. Bryan says he tried to keep the seizures a secret at first because he didn't want to quit his sport that he loved. Witnessing one of those seizures was a traumatic experience to his wife, and he said in spite of the seizures, he says, "Please, sweetie, do not tell anybody. Keep it a secret." Pro wrestler for 16 years. Loved his time in the squared circle and announced his retirement earlier this month. He did clarify during his announcements that he didn't blame the WWE for his injuries or his retirement. And he says that the WWE even stopped him from wrestling after his last concussion. And doctors said, you're good to go. But the WWE was stopping him from competing. Again, that Aberdeen native, Daniel Bryan. This week on iFIBER One News Radio, Gonzaga basketball for you. Tomorrow night, Gonzaga takes on Pacific. We'll have our pregame show at 5:40, and Saturday we'll do it again with a pregame at 6:40, though this time against St. Mary's. It's 6:11 here at iFIBER One News Radio, and moving on to the weather forecast this morning, here's Carol.
Good morning. It's 45, overcast right now, rain showers early, and it'll evolve into more steady rain for the afternoon. Thunder possible, a high of 54. The rest of the week, more of the same, rain showers, highs around 50, and right now it's 45.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Yeah, 6:13, 6:12 actually here at iFIBER One News Radio, and a good morning to you. Jeff Slickey along with Carol Gardner. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
All tan, refreshed.
What do you think?
No sunshine down there, huh?
It was pretty warm, I suppose. Good to be back. Spent some days with the family, the in-laws down in San Diego. Mm-hmm. And it was really warm. Unfortunately, I guess I couldn't bring any of that warmth up here. It was pretty wet while I was away, I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's pretty wet. I mean, it's not too cold.
No,
but,
quite nice.
The sun, a little more sun, but, you know.
What can you do? It's winter.
Yeah. It's green. It's the Pacific Northwest.
I tell you, that is one thing. And one other thing is our airport is amazing.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
I'm Ari Wolf with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Charlotte Observer reporting that Panthers linebacker Luke Kuechly will have surgery to repair a partially torn labrum in his left shoulder. Kuechly is expected to be healthy in time for training camp, but his status for the team's offseason workouts and OTAs is unknown at this time. Gerard Mayo has decided to leave the Patriots after 8 years with the squad. The linebacker took to Instagram to make the announcement. The Patriots selected Mayo number 10 overall in the 2008 NFL Draft. Lions cornerback Rasheem Mathis has decided to retire after 13 years in the NFL. And on August 6th, longtime Packers QB Brett Favre, Colts Super Bowl champion coach Tony Dungy, and wideout Marvin Harrison will go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The NFL announcing Tuesday that their teams, the Packers and Colts, will play in the Hall of Fame game a day later on August 7th. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Control, do you like mortgages? Negative, over. Do you like rockets? Affirmative, over. Do you like rocket mortgages? I'm listening, over. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that turns the entire mortgage process into a fast, powerful, completely online experience. Copy that, QL1. I'm going to go ahead and push this button in 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 33.
And now, a touching moment. Well, staying in touch with Geico.
It was a warm summer day. I was just sitting on a porch watching a babbling brook roll by. Then, out of the blue, I got an update from my Geico app saying my claim had been processed. I felt so connected to nature, to Geico. I stayed there the whole afternoon until that guy told me to stop trespassing on his porch. Sheesh, what was his problem?
Claim status updates just a few taps away on the Geico app.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
All right, good morning to you. 6:15 on a, what day?
Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday. You know, when you're on holiday, you don't know what day it is.
I thought, what, blustery day? No, it's a great drive this morning.
It was a great drive, and it was a beautiful day. I will say it is nice to be back. And one of the things that you don't really think about is this: if you ever do travel in an airline, at an airport, you know, they say, because all the security, whatever, this and that, be there hour, 2 hours early, right? And you should be there 2 hours early because you never know.
Right.
Well, if they want you to get there 2 hours early, they should offer some sort of activities, something to do. So at SeaTac, for example, you get into the airport, even before security, you can look at that beautiful window to the world, and you can walk up and down some of the concourses and things like that. Then you get to security checkpoints. And even on the other side of that, then, if you're 2 hours early, well, let's go ride the tram a little bit, or let's go down this concourse. Let's go down this. There's a lot of things to see and do. San Diego and LA is the same. You get there, you get to security, you go up an escalator, and then you're at your thing. And it's just a half circle. We were having a heck of a time keeping Kaiser calmed down before the flight. And it's just, there was no amenities.
Well, plus they're missing out on a lot of business. So they had one of these vending machines that sells iPads. I don't know if you've ever seen these. No. Are they real iPads?
No, they're real, and it's like a Best Buy mobile something. So you put your credit card in. So there's that. There's the place where you can get your oversized pink sweatshirt that says San Diego, and then there's a place where you can get a sandwich. But that's it. Huh. And that, you're right. That is because you can't leave.
Right.
As you have to go security again. So I just think we're very fortunate at SeaTac.
Yeah.
I mean, there are problems. I'm not saying there's not, but for things to do to keep people busy while you're waiting.
Just the whole airport itself. I mean, I thought the same thing when I flew down to Vegas. The airport was nothing compared to.
Man, we are lucky.
SeaTac.
We are lucky. You know what else we're lucky about? Tap water. I had some tap water down there.
Yeah.
I don't know who says that tap water tastes the same everywhere, because it surely does not. We are very fortunate up here.
Yeah, we are.
It tastes so fresh. Pioneer School District Board of Directors, staff, parents, and neighbors celebrated the new 60,880 square foot school project yesterday morning. There was a groundbreaking ceremony. About 100 supporters, Pioneer Bond Advisory Committee, and Pioneer Citizens for Education members attended the ceremony on the grassy playground where the $25.4 million new school complex is to be constructed. Bond issue was passed in February with more than 61%, and this has been a long time. We've had Martin Brewer, Pioneer School District Superintendent, on the air over the last couple years. Over 17 years, they had 14 bond failures. He thinks it's pretty much a record, and good on the voters for passing this, and new school. That is pretty darn cool.
Mason County Commissioners on Tuesday appointed Melissa McFadden as the county's interim Public Works Director. She succeeds Brian Matthews, whose last day as Public Works Director is February 26. Matthews is returning to the private sector. The county commissioners are accepting applications for the Public Works Director position until the end of the month, February 29th. McFadden said she plans to apply for the permanent Public Works Director's job, saying, "I think the department's going in a good direction and has good momentum, and I'd like to see it continue."
She's worked with folks out in the Grapeview area. We have a house out there, and she's worked closely with the folks out there, come out and talked with them, and my dad, who's dealt with her, she's very nice lady, and she's been on the air too. She's very nice. Mason County Commissioners can now meet in other counties or locations for regular meetings or joint meetings with other county commissioners. They voted this yesterday to amend the county code, allowing them to meet at other locations outside of Shelton. And the decision came after Shelton resident and concerned citizen Tom Davis back in the news, raised concerns about the proposal. It's 6:19 right now, and the other lead story from Mary Lynn Foster, Carol has right now.
Mason Transit Authority Board on Tuesday accepted the resignation of General Manager Brad Patterson in lieu of termination. Patterson served as Mason Transit General Manager since 2011. Transit Board Chairwoman Terry Jeffries, Mason County Commissioner, declined to comment other than to say a complaint was filed against Patterson and investigated. Patterson was allowed to respond to the complaint according to Jeffries, but of course she could not discuss who filed the complaint, the nature of the complaint, or why the board asked for Patterson's resignation or be fired. So I'm sure we will find out more information as we go along.
As the days progress. Moving on to regional news this morning at 6:20. An Arlington area man has filed a lawsuit against Everett after he was denied access to dog records at a public animal shelter. Daily Herald reports that Jonathan Bander filed a lawsuit last month after he was denied access to records while looking for his missing Pomeranian mix named Hyde. Bander went to the Everett Animal Shelter after Hyde went missing in January. The shelter has a binder of stray animals for people seeking missing pets to pursue. A shelter employee told Bander he could not see a dog he thought might be Hyde. And then when he returned to the shelter a couple days later, that dog's kennel card had been removed. He filed a records request, which was denied, and a city spokesman says Bander's records request was mistakenly denied, and they plan to communicate with Bander to resolve the issue.
The former treasurer of a Clark County Little League, accused of embezzling thousands of dollars from the organization, has pleaded not guilty in the case. The Columbian reports that 39-year-old Liska Stokes entered a not guilty plea Tuesday to theft, tampering with physical evidence, and money laundering. She appeared in court while out of custody and was released on her own recognizance. Stokes served as the La Center Little League's treasurer from 2011 to 2015. She's accused of stealing between $9,000 and $23,000 from the organization and then destroying evidence by deleting the financial information stored on the league's laptop. Court documents say she obtained a $5,000 loan to repay a portion of the stolen money. Stokes' attorney says his client has no prior criminal history.
Officials have appointed Andrew Barkis to fill the legislative seat vacated earlier this month by Republican Graham Hunt amid questions he exaggerated his service in the military. Thurston County Commissioners and Pierce County Council members announced their choice on Tuesday. Barkis was one of three candidates, including Amy Kruver, and Kerry Hooks French, put forth by Washington State Republican Party. Barkas lives in Olympia and is the owner of Hometown Property Management, graduate of Seattle University, and ran for Thurston County Commission in 2012. It's 6:22 here at iFIBER One News Radio. Take a quick break. In just 7 minutes, Marilyn Foster will have the latest in local news. ABC Sports to follow. Check the forecast with Carol Gardner and more. It's all coming up right here on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Having a new baby this year? If you just got the exciting news, Mountain View Women's Health has some more good news for you. The best prenatal and delivery care you could ask for is close to home and family. Mountain View Women's Health and the Birth Center at Mason General Hospital offer excellent care to make your prenatal and birth experience wonderful. Among the many great features is the personalized birthing plan that includes your choice of pain management from epidural to natural birth. For more information, call Mountain View Women's Health at 426-0955.
Mason General Hospital and family of clinics. Equal opportunity provider. Translation services provided.
Mason General and family of clinics.
Understanding your finances is a key to a strong financial future. Don't be the one who gets left behind. Visit feedthepig.org for tools and tips to get started on the path to financial stability. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Hi guys, Kat here with iFIBER One News Radio. What if I told you that radio advertising is far more effective than print media? Think about all of your customers driving to work, appointments, or events, all the while listening to the radio. Imagine your commercial airs on iFIBER One News Radio and the customer decides, hey, I'm right by there. I'm going to go check it out. Radio captures you and literally speaks to you and your customers several times a day. This enables you to build a unique message that reminds your customers what you have to offer. Remember, your customers can either drive to you or through you. And here at iFIBER One News Radio, we want to direct customers to you. Being the only talk radio formatted station in the entire South Sound region, we have an entire new market for your business to advertise in. As your sales lady, I take pride in providing your business with the best advertising because I want your business to succeed. So call me today at 360-463-2558 and ask for Kat.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio, KMAS.
.26 on a Wednesday morning. Good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. Good morning.
Good morning.
For the call today, it is a Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. You're catching up. Did you get a sleep in? Did you sleep in? I mean, what?
No.
Stayed on the same time frame?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still in the Pacific time zone, so we're okay there.
No, what I meant was...
No, sort of a holiday. No, I didn't get up at 4 like I normally do. I got up at 5. Kaiser and I would walk down. We were close to the ocean. The other thing that was amazing to me is we were near the ocean and walking along where the ocean is and the amount of erosion. Oh. Like you are looking, we're looking at these houses that are just, I wouldn't consider them immaculate houses, but they're very expensive houses because they're on the water, whatever. And it is just feet from a sheer cliff face. And so one of the places that we did go to was down, you kind of walk down a really steep path and it went to a rocky beach, I guess you could call it. So the first day Kaiser and I were there at the sunset throwing rocks in, and I could step down and pick up more rocks for him to throw. The next day when we went, I had to jump down. It was 3 feet of rock erosion in one day. And it happened again the next day. They said because of this El Nino thing, they had some of the biggest waves. They had to close the pier because the water was, I mean, we were probably 100 feet out into the ocean on this pier, and the waves were rushing over. It knocked a lady down the week before we were there. They had to shut the whole boardwalk down thing. Whoa, it has been crazy. This El Nino down there really affecting it. And up here, it's about the same. I mean, the weather has been the same. You haven't seen any kind of changes because of that, or just rainy and
just to me, it seems
normal.
typical normal weather.
It was amazing
Rain.
to see that. I mean, you got a view, and you got ocean access, but I don't know. It would make me so nervous to be there every day. I mean, just because you see it eroding every day.
Oh yeah,
and just
that we had
a little bit
more
more
a couple weeks ago down in I was in California,
yeah,
right?
It was Speaking of California, a judge has ordered Apple to help the FBI access the cell phone of one of the San Bernardino shooters to aid in the investigation of the case. Investigators obtained Saeed Farouk's work phone with an authorized search warrant, but has been unable to complete the search because it can't access the phone's encrypted content. Apple has the exclusive technical means that would assist the government in completing its search, but has declined to provide the assistance voluntarily, prosecutors said. So basically, if you have one of these phones, and maybe on Androids as well, Carol, you can help me with this, but on my iPhone, if you set up a passcode feature and you don't put the right code in 10 times, it will, Mission Impossible style, self-destruct on its own. So they're getting close maybe to the 10th thing, and they don't want to risk losing it. So now they said, Apple, come on, help me with this.
Well, maybe they won't do it voluntarily because that would establish some sort of the word just went out of my head, but if they get the search warrant, precedence, if they get the search warrant and
they have a warrant, they gave them a thing that said you need to help us.
Well, okay, you can't just say you need to help us. You have to give a search warrant saying this is the law. Legally, you have to turn the information over.
Really interesting.
But to voluntarily give it, I can see why they would want to voluntarily do it.
Sure. The way we'll talk about this more this morning, but the guy's dead.
Right. I mean, and I think that information should be there, but it's the process needs to be obviously better.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The Mason Transit Authority Board accepted the resignation of General Manager Brad Patterson yesterday in lieu of termination. Patterson served as Mason Transit General Manager since 2011. Transit Board Chairwoman Terry Jeffries, a Mason County Commissioner, declined to comment other than to say a complaint was filed against Patterson and investigated. Patterson was allowed to respond to the complaint. Jeffries said she could not discuss who filed the complaint, the nature of the complaint, or why the board asked for Patterson's resignation or be fired. She says that Patterson is on paid administrative leave through February 29th. The news of Patterson's resignation came after the board met for a half hour in closed session to discuss the matter. Danette Brannon, Mason Transit's finance manager since June 2012, was appointed as acting general manager. She was approached by the board 2 weeks ago after Patterson was placed on leave. During its regular meeting yesterday, the board agreed to pay her $1,000 a month more as long as she serves as acting general manager. Brannon was paid a little over $73,000 a year plus benefits as Mason Transit's finance manager. Brannon has not yet decided if she will apply for the permanent Mason Transit general manager opening, and the Transit Board has not yet begun searching for a new general manager. According to the separation agreement, Transit agreed to pay Patterson $25,000 in severance pay, and Patterson agrees not to have any contact with Mason Transit employees. Patterson also agreed to not disparage Mason Transit, its board members, and managers. Patterson's LinkedIn profile lists his current job as Transit Services Manager for the city of Greeley, Colorado. Mason County Commissioners can now meet in other counties or locations for regular meetings or joint meetings with other county commissioners. Commissioners Terry Jeffries, Randy Netherland, and Tim Sheldon unanimously adopted an ordinance to amend county code, allowing them to meet at other locations outside of Shelton. Shelton resident Tom Davis raised concerns about the proposal. He worried that commissioners could change the location of a meeting when there's a hot button issue between two counties with only a 24-hour notice, and suggested that there should be a 30-day notice to give people adequate time to plan to attend. Commissioner Sheldon said the resolution to the issue Davis raised was to elect good commissioners who would not abuse the legislation, adding that out-of-county meetings are rare. In order to hear directly from residents of Washington's 6th Congressional District, Representative Derek Kilmer is holding a series of town halls throughout the region, and he's in Mason County tonight. The town hall is from 5 to 6:30 p.m. in the Skookum Room at Mason County PUD 3 on East Johns Prairie Road in Shelton. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
I'm attorney Harold Carr. During the past 25 years, more than 8,000 people have trusted me to handle their personal injury cases. I understand how an injury can disrupt your life and cause financial hardship for you and your family. At the law firm of Harold Carr, we have 5 attorneys and 19 staff members experienced with negotiating and litigating with insurance companies. So if you feel the insurance company is not dealing with you fairly, call me, Harold Carr. Let us deal with the insurance company so you won't have to.
Car accident? Call Carr or visit us online at haroldcarrattorney.com.
Longhorns and Bears, oh my. Hi, everybody. Todd Ant reporting on sports. A pair of Texas schools pick off ranked teams in college hoops. 24th-ranked Texas down 10th-ranked West Virginia.
They'll fire three. They'll get the three. Third three for Connor Lambert. Largest lead for the Longhorns.
On ESPN, Texas wins 85-78. In Waco, Jonathan Motley scored 27 points to lead Baylor past number 13 Iowa State.
Steps behind the three-quarter shot, air ball, and Prince has the ball. Here's a 3-on-2. Motley slams it home, and the foul called by Burton.
On ESPN Radio, Baylor takes the 100-91 overtime victory over Iowa State. NBA Clippers coach Doc Rivers said the team wasn't trading Blake Griffin despite the rumors.
I told you we're not trading Blake, but I guess everyone else wants to keep doing that, so we'll let them do it. But not from us at all.
And Hornets forward Michael Kidd-Gilchrist done for the season with a shoulder injury. ESPN reporting that Miami Heat's Chris Bosh may be dealing with another blood clot, this time possibly in his leg, and he's resumed taking blood thinners for treatment. ESPN's NBA analyst Chris Broussard.
If it's season ending, there's not a move you're going to be able to make right now that's going to put you on the level of the Cleveland Cavaliers if you don't have Chris Bosh on the basketball court.
Bosh was sidelined last year because of a blood clot on one of his lungs. Plenty of hockey on a Tuesday night, and in Ohio, the Bruins stood tall in OT.
Darting into the right wing circle, drops it back for Krug. He'll throw it towards it, top score! And the Bruins win it in overtime.
On 98.5, the Sports Hub, Boston pulled out a 2-1 win over Columbus. Bruins have won for the 10th time in the last 15 games. In the nation's capital, Evgeny Kuznetsov scored the tie-breaking goal with just 2:02 remaining in the game.
Burakovsky now trying to squeak it through. Cares is quick, can't cover, loose in front. They score! Evgeny Kuznetsov!
On the Capitals Radio Network, Washington beat the LA Kings 3-1. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
The Tom Hartman Show, live 9 to noon, weekdays on iFIBER One News Radio.
Eventually, something is going to break through all the lies and all the hundreds of millions of dollars the Koch Industries and ExxonMobil and others have spent funding climate change deniers. Eventually, it's going to break through, and people are going to realize that for the last 40 years, they have been lied to by very wealthy people who are lying to us and allowing people to die just so they can protect their wealth. Not even protect their existing wealth, just so they can make more wealth.
For iFIBER One News Radio, I'm Jeff Slakey, taking a look at sports at 6:36, and a good morning to you. Sue Bird has signed a multi-year deal with the Seattle Storm. The team announced the contract Tuesday. 35-year-old Bird, top free agent in the WNBA this season, although she was always expected to stay with the Storm. She's been here her entire career since being drafted numero uno in 2002. She averaged 10.3 points and 5.4 assists last season in 27 games, and she's helped Seattle win the WNBA championships in both 2004, 2010. In addition to that, she is taking part in the training camp for U.S. women's national team for the Olympics. It's in Connecticut, and Bird has helped the Americans win the last 3 Olympic titles. This is impressive here, Carol. Bird has helped the Americans win the last 3 Olympic titles. Well, that's great. The U.S. will be trying for its 6th straight U.S. Gold as they head to Rio this summer. That's pretty cool. The Storm have the number 1 pick in the WNBA draft, expected to select UConn star Breanna Stewart. Former WWE wrestling star and Aberdeen native Daniel Bryan speaking out why he retired at the age of 34. Seizures after concussions, leading his decision to quit wrestling. Even kept it a secret to his wife. Finally, she saw one of these seizures because of the concussion and said, hey, please keep this quiet. I love my job, whatever. Pro wrestler for 16 years, enjoyed his time in the squared circle so much that when he announced, he noted, I have loved this in a way that I have never loved anything else. This week on iFIBER One News Radio, we've got Gonzaga basketball Thursday for you against Pacific and Saturday against St. Mary's. Additionally, tomorrow at 8:33, Sports Director Sean Wells will be in to talk with us about MAC Classic this weekend. 22 local kids will be competing. Also, Obafemi Martins has been released from the Sounders, apparently. Wow! He's going to China, so we'll see how that bodes for the Sounders' upcoming season. And more conversations with Sean Wells tomorrow at 8:33 in the morning. 6:38 right now, and moving on to the South Sounds forecast. Here's Carol.
Good morning. It's 45, overcast now. Rain showers early, evolving into more of a steady rain this afternoon. Thunder possible. We'll reach a high of 54. The rest of the week, pretty much the same. Rain showers, and we're going to have highs around 50. And yeah, we have a lot of rain, but yesterday, more than a dozen tornadoes hit the south.
Whoa, what?
That was on
a
Monday.
Dozen?
Yeah. What was yesterday? Monday?
No, you're not supposed to. I'm the one that's supposed to know what day it is.
More than a dozen tornadoes hit the south on President's Day. And then New York, New Jersey, clobbered by strong storms. It's just
so we're in a nice little pocket here in the north.
Yeah, there's a cold front coming in, but our temps aren't really going to drop to the low high 40s.
Oh,
not even. We're not going to get that low overnight even, and we're just going to have continued rain.
When we were driving home yesterday from the airport, we drove over the Nisqually River, and that looked pretty darn high. How's the river's been?
The Skoke went up, as usual, and now it's back down to about its regular spot. But it'll probably go up and down throughout the rest of the week.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You, from business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
6:40 on a Wednesday morning, and a good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey, along with Carol Gardner. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Jeff. Glad you're back.
I'm happy to be back.
Yeah.
You know, that is one thing I do love. Time away, but I love being here. I love waking up with everybody and having a great start to the day, getting things going, talking about the news, talking about what's going on, talking about some things with some great guests, including Drew McEwen today at 7:15, Port of Call today at 8:45, and tomorrow. So we got back yesterday. First thing we do, we go in the backyard, look at our plants, and there are blooms. What is going on?
Well, it's the regular time for them to be blooming.
Is it?
Yeah, it's February, end of mid-February.
My goodness. Jeannie Raywalt will be in tomorrow. There is another upcoming Master Gardener workshop. Fruit trees, planting, pruning, and care. And we have got some little blooms on stuff all over.
Blooms or buds?
I don't know.
They're buds. I doubt if you have, well, you might have blooms if you have primroses.
There was nothing, and now there's something. So something bloomed. Or something budded.
Budded, probably. Is there a flower?
No, there's no flower.
Okay, so I have primroses, and those are flowering, but they flower all year long. So you are probably seeing little tiny buds.
Life's a holiday on Primrose Lane.
It is. So Jean will come in to talk about all that jazz tomorrow.
All right, so that is that there. I mentioned Drew McEwen at 7:15, Port of Call at 8:45, and Sean tomorrow morning at 8:30 to talk. Wow, Obafemi Martins is leaving the Sounders. That's amazing. 6:42 here at iFIBER One. We encourage you to head to iFIBER1newsradio.com with some major news stories and shakeups here during the last couple of days, including Mason Transit Authority's board yesterday accepted the resignation of General Manager Brad Patterson in lieu of termination. He's been the GM there since 2011. Transit Board Chairwoman Terry Jeffries declined to comment other than say a complaint was filed against Patterson and investigated. He was allowed to respond to the complaint, according to Jeffries, but no further information on who filed it the nature or why the board asked for Patterson's resignation. A detailed story from Jeff Chu is on iFIBER1newsradio.com this morning. We'll be back after this.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFiber One News Radio.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Paraswabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is John Greenhut, the CEO of Paraswabs. And if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Paraswabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Paraswabs risk-free, call 1-800-928-7113. That's 1-800-928-7113. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends, family, and coworkers talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-928-7113. That's 1-800-928-7113.
We love hearing from our listeners and sharing their stories with you. Hi, I'm Jody Henke. Today, we're featuring a Wisconsin man who collects toy trains and loves to share his passion as he's living the country life.
Living the country life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic and from previous shows by visiting us online at livingthecountrylife.com. We'll return to the show after these messages.
Floor space in the farm shop fills up fast, so look to other surfaces in the building for storage. The vertical space of your walls can handle cabinets and a place to hang the tools. Build freestanding shelving and use plastic crates to store equipment. You can even hang crates from the ceiling with an overhead sliding system. Put what you can on wheels, such as portable work tables, stacked welders, and tool caddies. To make even more room, throw away the stuff you don't need. Our shop tip of the week was brought to you by Morton Buildings.
Morton Buildings, the best in the construction business since 1903. If you're ready for a new farm storage facility, insulated workshop, hobby garage, horse barn, or custom home, Morton will provide the building you'll be proud to call your own. Contact us today during Building Value Days. It's the biggest sales event of the year. Don't miss the opportunity to get the best building at the best price. Find the building of your dreams at mortonbuildings.com.
Buck Guthrie has been collecting toy trains practically forever. Since he was 5 years old, he knew that someday he would have his very own toy train museum. Fast forward a few decades, he's still collecting trains and has turned his dream into a reality. Buck and his wife Jan restored an old dairy barn on the family farm in Argyle, Wisconsin. He turned it into his beloved toy train museum where he could share his love of the railroad with the public.
Usually a collector collects one kind, like an O-gauge Lionel or an American Flyer, or they collect HO. But I'm building a museum, so I just collected everything. And you'll see everything here. The layouts inside this barn are awesome because I used all different sizes and scales of the trains.
The collection is also part of railroad history. He has some trains that date back to the Civil War. Metal was scarce during World War II, so manufacturers would make toy trains out of soup cans. He says it's interesting to look inside a train car and see Campbell's soup stamped inside. The variety of trains is amazing, but Buck says he really enjoys creating the animated layouts. He uses appliances and spare parts to make every scene come alive.
There's a chicken rotisserie hangs on the ceiling, which makes the airplanes fly around at the airport. There's a med-flight helicopter coming off the hospital. Cars are driving down the streets. There's a house on fire with real water coming out of the fire truck. There's a home there with a pool party going on, and people are actually swimming in the pool.
During the summer, you can ride a train around their property. We'd like to hear what makes your place special. Tell us about it at livingthecountrylife.com. I'll see you in the country.
Living the country life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic, share your tips, and post photos by visiting us online.
From
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
.48 on a Wednesday morning, and a good morning to you. Just like Ian, Carol Gardner here on Daybreak. Good morning.
Good morning.
Drew McEwen at 7:15 and Port of Call at 8:45. Excuse me, ABC News is coming up shortly, and Mary Lynn Foster will have the latest in local news as well. But there are some other stories from around the Northwest that people are talking about. Carol?
From the legislature or over in Olympia, the Washington House passed a bill that would create a task force to study the use of deadly force by law enforcement in the state. The bill cleared the chamber on Tuesday, will be considered by the Senate. The task force would review until 2017 the state's use of force laws, alternatives to lethal force and other police practices, then report findings and any recommended policy changes by December. Washington is one of the hardest states to prosecute an officer for improperly shooting people. I guess there is a proper way. According to the American Civil Liberties Union of Washington, I'm sorry, that was probably not appropriate. A bill that would make it easier to charge law enforcement has not been approved by its first committee. So that is it's a hot topic, and
Sure.
people want to know what's going on with that.
Yeah. I bet they got a lot of folks from Olympia there to talk about it after the incidents that happened. Conservation groups, and you talked yesterday during Environmentally Sound about this with Seth Elson a little bit. Conservation groups are suing the feds over what they describe as foot dragging when it comes to recovering wild Puget Sound steelhead. In the lawsuit filed yesterday in U.S. District Court in Seattle, Duval-based Wild Fish Conservancy and other organizations accuse the National Marine Fisheries Service of failing to come up with a plan to recover the seagoing rainbow trout listed as threatened back in 2007. The complaint says the agency has delayed the recovery plan for 8 years and doesn't expect to have one until 2019. The group says that without a plan, projects intended to improve steelhead habitat aren't getting funded. Steelhead populations in the region declined by about 97% since 1900. Fisheries did not have an immediate response for this. But this was something that you talked about with Seth at the Salmon Center?
So in that story, they talk about rainbow trout, and then they also talk about steelhead. So that's sort of a little... They're not the same thing, rainbow trout and steelhead salmon. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with that.
What was Seth talking about?
Well, he said the Hood Canal Salmon Center has this Hood Canal steelhead project because there is the decline of the steelhead salmon. So what they've been working on it for since I think he said 2000. You got to listen to the interview. Yeah, but they've been working on it for a while, and they are actually working with the salmon, some hatcheries. But they're not just taking hatchery fish and putting them out in the wild. They're taking wild fish, getting the eggs, and then creating new steelhead from those wild eggs, and then raising them and then merging them out there. So, and I asked him about this. I said, is this happening anywhere else? And he said, this is really the first major thing, and people are watching it. So I'm sort of surprised that there's the lawsuit going on, or maybe it was already in process and it was going on for a long time.
Just broke yesterday.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we'll try to make sure Seth and our interviews are sent to whoever.
Yeah.
6:51 at iFIBER One News Radio. We'll take a break here and hear from the old farmer. We have a CNBC Business Radio report at 6:58. ABC News just after that. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
We celebrate the year's most community month with a tribute to all things short.
That is shortly on the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Wednesday, February 17th, the 48th day of the year. NBA great Michael Jordan has a birthday, and 50 years ago today, Brian Wilson began work on the rock classic Good Vibrations. February may have an extra day this year, but it is still the shortest month. A good excuse for some fascinating facts about the world's shortest things. The shortest scheduled airplane flight, for example, is about 1.5 miles. It's between 2 Scottish isles. The world's shortest river, the Roe River in Montana, 201 feet long. And the world's shortest professional boxing match was in 1946 when Ralph Walton was dropped in 10.5 seconds, including the 10-second count. We could go on, but our short bit of airtime is up. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Find more fun facts online at almanac.com.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. It is a Wednesday here on the 17th of February at 6:52. CNBC Business Radio Report coming up in just a couple minutes. ABC News after that. More on the way. They have announced the winners of the dog show.
The winners of the dog show.
What's it called? Westminster. America's...
I'm like, where's he going with this?
Well, the dog show.
Well, the dog show, of course.
CJ, German short-haired pointer, wins Best in Show at Westminster. German short-haired pointer named CJ won Best in Show at the prestigious 140th Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show Tuesday. John Patch from Talkin' Pets was there over the weekend. It was at Madison Square Garden in New York, New York. More than 3,000 dogs competed for the sought-after title. Winner of the hound, toy, non-sporting, and herding groups were announced Monday. Then Tuesday night, the top sporting, working, and terriers were chosen before the Best in Show was proclaimed. Last year, it was a beagle named Miss P. That's who won there. This is a CJ, America's new top dog. CJ, the German short-haired pointer, owner and handler Valerie Nunez Atkinson, expressing shock after the 3-year-old dog won Best in Show at the 140th Westminster Kennel Club in New York City Tuesday night. Where's my clip here? Not playing?
It's something I've dreamt about since I was 10 years old.
Now, that's awesome that this lady has, since 10 years old, dreamt about becoming a Westminster champion, and the stars have now aligned, and she was able to do that. That's a pretty cool thing. You ever seen that movie, Best in Show?
No, I have not, but she's not really the champion, is she? Isn't it her dog that's the champion?
Well, I mean, that's a good point. I don't know. I mean, do they teach the dogs how to walk proper and to go around the gate? They got to train them to not jump on the judges.
Yeah.
And sniff all the other dogs and things like that. So she puts in as much legwork, if you will, as the other dogs who prance about there at the Westminster.
Well, obviously she has to be the one that coaches the dog, I would imagine. But I guess I wouldn't call her the champion.
Sure.
Supporter.
Maybe the champion supporter. So congratulations to CJ. We'll hear more from CJ, I'm sure, in the news at 7 o'clock from ABC. It is 6:56 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, and a good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. CNBC has a business radio report.
A mysterious gunk is splattered across an area of Michigan. ABC's Ryan Burrow reports residents don't know what it is, but they want it cleaned up.
And if a bird pooped, how in the heck would it poop like that?
The mystery continues to grow in Harrison Township, Michigan, after homes, cars, sidewalks, and driveways were splattered with a mysterious black substance.
Fairly solid, but it's petroleum-based, and we don't know exactly what it is.
Firefighters came out to inspect the tar-like substance. They don't believe it's harmful. The 5 to 7 homes covered in the stuff are near an Air Force base. An environmental investigator from the base will inspect the gunk. Ryan Burrow, ABC News.
Thank you, Ryan Burrows, for that. petroleum-based, near an Air Force.
Yeah, those are a couple of red flags right there.
I like that they don't believe it's harmful.
You know, they say that. I think that is the first word that they always say.
Well, I don't believe it's harmful.
Yeah, they don't want the public to panic.
No, don't panic, please. 5 to 7 homes covered in this stuff near an Air Force base. So probably
fell out of an airplane.
Fell out of an airplane or ejected from an airplane.
Yeah, or some kind of test.
Creepy. Is the X-Files still on?
Oh, yeah.
That's an X-Files.
And I started to watch it.
Oh, the truth is out there. 7 o'clock, iFIBER One News Radio. Good morning.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
I'm Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio. Stocks opened higher this morning. The markets are now on track for a third straight day of gains. Traders are encouraged by rising oil prices. The Dow's up 114 points, the Nasdaq higher by 34. Garmin sold a lot of navigational devices used in aircraft and fitness trackers, and that helped the GPS gadget maker to higher than expected revenue. Priceline saw its hotel and rental car bookings rise last quarter. The online travel services company's quarterly results beating Wall Street expectations. Housing starts unexpectedly declined last month. That's as building activity was delayed because of snowing weather and bitter cold temperatures in some parts of the country. Analysts see this as only a temporary setback for the housing market recovery. And producer prices, which are a measure of inflation, rose last month. Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio.
O'Reilly. If your wiper blades are worn and streaking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and save $8 instantly on a pair of Trico Force wiper blades. Improve visibility and save money with Trico Force wiper blades. Plus, take advantage of O'Reilly Auto Parts' free wiper blade installation. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You hear that, kid? That's the hum of a well-run facility. You know what I hate hearing? Silence. Silence on a production line means downtime. Downtime means wasted time. Wasted time means wasted money. Silence isn't golden, kid. It's deadly. That's why I love Grainger. With a wide variety of the latest products, Grainger gets us what we need when we need it to help keep this place up and running and humming away. Get it? Got it? Good. Call, click Grainger.com or stop by. Grainger. For the
Chad Benson Show, live weekdays from 3 to 6 on iFIBER One News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 1033. KMAS Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Joan Bennett. Some Republicans are promising to block any Supreme Court nominee President Obama may pick to replace the late Justice Antonin Scalia, though Mr. Obama says he expects the Senate to do its job and seriously consider whoever he chooses. The latest from ABC's Mary Bruce in Washington.
In a sign of what's at stake this election year, the powerful chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Charles Grassley, says he hasn't ruled out public hearings or a vote.
I would wait until the nominee is made before I would make any decisions.
In other words, he says he's going to take it one step at a time.
The body of Justice Scalia will lie in repose in the Great Hall of the Supreme Court Friday, the funeral Saturday at the Washington Basilica. Apple says it won't comply with a federal judge's order that it helped the FBI unlock the iPhone that belonged to one of the San Bernardino shooters. Apple says supplying the software to hack the phone will result in security issues for other iPhone users. ABC's senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas.
The FBI says getting into that phone is critical because they want to know if there's information, emails, texts to other potential accomplices, if there's information about travel, that the couple may have participated in. So they say that phone may hold some critical answers, and they want it open, and they want it open now.
A huge handmade altar has been erected along the border between Mexico and El Paso, Texas. Security tight as thousands gather to see and hear Pope Francis celebrate Mass this afternoon. ABC's Jim Ryan's there.
On a typical day, 30,000 cars and trucks and 20,000 people on foot cross through this city's ports of entry. Border crossings may triple today as pilgrims from around the region make their way to El Paso and then into Juarez for a chance to see Pope Francis.
On Wall Street, the Dow is up 135 points. This is ABC News.
Control, do you like mortgages? Negative. Over. Do you like rockets? Affirmative. Over. Do you like rocket mortgages? I'm listening. Over. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that turns the entire mortgage process into a fast, powerful, completely online experience. Copy that, QL1. I'm going to go ahead and push this button in 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS Consumer Access.org number 33.
How do most people discover the blends of tea they like? Trial and error. But at Twinings of London, we believe in just trial. That's because we have 9 master blenders traveling the world to find the best teas, spices, and herbs for the perfect balance of taste, flavor, and aroma. With over 50 great tasting varieties, we wouldn't mind if you tried them all. Twinings of London. Teas that fit your every mood. Available at Fred Meyer, New Seasons, Safeway, or TwiningsUSA.com.
A Florida woman who live streamed herself, apparently driving drunk, has been sentenced. ABC's Stephanie Ramos has more.
It took about 20 minutes for Lakeland, Florida police officers to find 23-year-old Winnie Beal, thanks to viewers watching the road trip go down on the live streaming app Periscope.
I just saw a girl on Periscope driving drunk. She doesn't know where she is.
Beal was charged with a DUI and was sentenced to 12 months of probation, a suspended driver's license, no alcohol, and no bars. For going live on Periscope, she was sentenced to community service and weekend work release. Stephanie Ramos, ABC News.
Increasing numbers of Americans are expecting to work well past their traditional retirement age, but researchers say health and a variety of other factors often get in the way of those plans. University of Michigan analysts find more than a third of the people surveyed didn't reach the retirement age they set when they were 58. Health, layoffs, business closings, and family issues got in the way. Joan Bennett, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The Mason Transit Authority Board accepted the resignation of General Manager Brad Patterson yesterday in lieu of termination. Patterson served as Mason Transit General Manager since 2011. Transit Board Chairwoman Terry Jeffries, a Mason County Commissioner, declined to comment other than to say a complaint was filed against Patterson and investigated. Patterson was allowed to respond to the complaint. Jeffries said she could not discuss who filed the complaint, the nature of the complaint, or why the board asked for Patterson's resignation or be fired. She says that Patterson is on paid administrative leave through February 29th. The news of Patterson's resignation came after the board met for a half hour in closed session to discuss the matter. Danette Brannon, Mason Transit's finance manager since June 2012, was appointed as acting general manager. She was approached by the board 2 weeks ago after Patterson was placed on leave. During its regular meeting yesterday, the board agreed to pay her $1,000 a month more as long as she serves as acting general manager. Brannon was paid a little over $73,000 a year plus benefits as Mason Transit's finance manager. Brannon has not yet decided if she will apply for the permanent Mason Transit general manager opening, and the Transit Board has not yet begun searching for a new general manager. According to the separation agreement, Transit agreed to pay Patterson $25,000 in severance pay, and Patterson agrees not to have any contact with Mason Transit employees. Patterson also agreed to not disparage Mason Transit, its board members, and managers. Patterson's LinkedIn profile lists his current job as Transit Services Manager for the city of Greeley, Colorado. Mason County Commissioners can now meet in other counties or locations for regular meetings or joint meetings with other county commissioners. Commissioners Terry Jeffries, Randy Netherland, and Tim Sheldon unanimously adopted an ordinance to amend county code, allowing them to meet at other locations outside of Shelton. Shelton resident Tom Davis raised concerns about the proposal. He worried that commissioners could change the location of a meeting when there's a hot button issue between two counties with only a 24-hour notice, and suggested that there should be a 30-day notice to give people adequate time to plan to attend. Commissioner Sheldon said the resolution to the issue Davis raised was to elect good commissioners who would not abuse the legislation, adding that out-of-county meetings are rare. In order to hear directly from residents of Washington's 6th Congressional District, Representative Derek Kilmer is holding a series of town halls throughout the region, and he's in Mason County tonight. The town hall is from 5 to 6:30 p.m. in the Skookum Room at Mason County PUD 3 on East Johns Prairie Road in Shelton. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
The Chad Benson Show.
You want to be a billionaire? You find where there's a problem. Then you create a solution to said problem, but you don't cure it. It's not the end all to be all. You continually have to have it. If it's a disease, there's no money in the cure, there's money in the disease. The Democrats, it's about getting voters, just like for the Republicans.
The Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, live weekdays 3 to 6 on iFIBER One News Radio.
At Mason PUD 3, we know that time changes all things, like phone numbers, mailing addresses, and email addresses, even names. PUD 3 needs your correct account information for emergency contacts and online security. To make this fun, all PUD 3 customers who update or confirm their account information by April 27th will have their names placed into a drawing for a free iPad mini. Go to masonpud3.org/account to learn more.
For iFIBER One News Radio, I'm Jeff Slakey. It's 7:08, and we are looking at sports this morning. Sue Bird signed a multi-year deal with the Seattle Storm. The team announced the contract yesterday. 35 years old now, and she was the top free agent in the WNBA draft this season, although she was always expected to stick with the team that she has spent her entire career with since being drafted in 2002 at number 1. She helped the Seattle Storm win the WNBA championships in 2004 and 2010. She's also taken part in the training camp for the U.S. women's national team this month in Connecticut, helping the Americans win the last 3 Olympic titles, but they'll be going for a 6th straight gold medal in Rio this summer. Now, although not an official part of the 33rd annual Yukon Quest Sled Dog Race, a bicyclist has set a new record along the frigid and exhausting course between Fairbanks and Whitehorse. Fairbank resident Jeff Oatley completed the 1,600-kilometer race on his fat bike. You ever seen these bikes? They're great for beach riding and snow riding.
Have you ever tried riding a bike on snow?
Oh, it's tough.
Yeah.
You can get grip, and there's
He must have had some studs in his
little
tires.
studs as well. So these tires are pretty wide. They're wider than others, and they basically, in a certain sense, act as snowshoes. You know, they disperse the weight a little bit more, so it gives you a little more traction. The guy pedaled the course, followed by dog teams, crossed the finish line Monday afternoon just behind the second place musher. Former WWE star and Aberdeen native Daniel Bryan speaking out now why he's retired at the age of 34, concussions, and then subsequent seizures because of these concussions, leading to his decision to quit. He even tried to keep it a secret from his wife, who is a fellow WWE star named Brie Bella. She finally saw one of these seizures, and it was a very traumatic experience, obviously, for her, and said, I don't want you to tell anybody. I want you to keep this a secret. He's a pro wrestler for 16 years, and again, from Aberdeen. This week on iFIBER One News Radio, Gonzaga basketball Pacific on Thursday. That's tomorrow, 5:40 for the pregame, 6 o'clock for the tip-off. And then Saturday, men's basketball again versus St. Mary's, 6:40 the pregame and 7 o'clock the tip-off. It's 7:10 now at iFIBER One News Radio. And to take a look at the forecast, here's Carol.
Good morning. It's 45, overcast right now. Rain, showers early, evolving into more of a steady rain this afternoon. Thunder possible. We'll reach a high of 54. The rest of the week, more the same. Rain showers, highs around 50s. And Jeff, you officially March 20th is spring. But I don't think your plans pay attention to that official note.
They're starting to bud a little bit now that we know the difference. So March 20th is
March
spring.
20th. So we still have a month to go. But sunrise is like in 5 minutes.
Yes, I noticed that
amazing
yesterday in the evening as we were slowly starting to decompress and be ready to be done to come back to work today. It was 5:15, and I looked outside and I could still see what was going on.
It's so nice.
It is. It is nice.
Right now it's 45.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South South's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
7:12 at iFIBER One News Radio, and a good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey and Carol Gardner alongside. Happy to be back on the radio with you and starting our mornings off together on a good note.
We are happy to have you back.
We have Drew McEwen calling in shortly here this morning as the legislative session ongoing, and there has been some news of note that we'll get to from the legislature, some remembrances of Antonin Scalia's passing, and they've kind of talked about some education things. Drew McEwen's on the way here on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Your small business needs a loyalty rewards program, but email and paper cards are not effective, and using your POS system where you have to do all the work is bad as well. Go mobile. 95% of customers will check your marketing message on their smartphones in the first 5 minutes you send it, and we do all the work for you for under $150 a month. Call Puget Sound Perks today, 253-584-1212, or visit psperks.com. Reward your customers, and they'll reward you back.
Looking for a more exciting place to play? Discover the newly expanded gaming floor and awesome new sports bar at Lucky Eagle Casino. You'll find hundreds of new machines on the floor, plus 20 HD TVs, a huge big screen, 35 beers on tap, and great food in the sports bar. So what are you waiting for? Come get your game on at Lucky Eagle Casino and Hotel, I-5 to exit 88, Rochester, Washington. Now more than ever, where you belong. Details at luckyeagle.com.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Tobert, your advertising consultant from iFIBER One News Radio. Are you missing customers because you only market to a specific group? iFIBER One News Radio can help you hit a larger group of buyers with our diverse audience. We are 24 hours of local and national breaking news, award-winning talk radio, and primetime sports, including local high school sports. What does this mean to you? This means our listeners listen longer to entire programs and don't switch to another station when a commercial comes on. Our coverage in the Puget Sound area hits over 500,000 listeners, including Mason County, Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, King, Pierce, Joint Base Lewis McCourt, and Kitsap County to the Bremerton Naval Base. All advertising is 100% tax deductible. So how can you afford not to advertise? Call me, Mark Tobert, at iFIBER One News Radio to become a total audience plan advertiser. Just call 360-426-1030.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. It's Daybreak here at iFIBER One, 7:15. Jeff Slakey and Carol Gardner. And on the phone line this morning, 35th District Representative Drew McEwen. Good morning, Drew.
Good morning. How are we?
Oh, we are well. And you, sir?
I can't complain. Thank you.
Good. Well, we were talking, so we're now over halfway through the session.
Right.
And the budget is starting to kind of be looked at.
Yeah, so every year we rotate between the Senate and the House as to who releases the budget, and that becomes the working document. And on the House, so this year it's the House's turn, and we will be releasing the budget on Monday, and then let it marinate for a couple of days so people can look at it, and then hold the public hearing on it in the Appropriations Committee the middle of next week, and then vote it out, and vote it out of committee, that is, and then go from there. And, you know, you'll see... it's the nature of the game. You'll see a partisan vote on it out of committee because if it was our budget, we would be doing it differently, and that's the nature of the beast there. But having said that, you know, I think we're moving really well in the right direction. I think we're going to have this thing done on time, and looking forward to that. And, you know, it's needless to say, if those that keep up on the news can tell, it's been a little more ranker than usual in Olympia. So I think everybody's excited to get this. This is the biggest piece of the puzzle done, and moving forward. So there's still work to do, but I think we're heading in the right direction.
So, Drew, this isn't the main budget, because isn't like the longer sessions the main budget that you guys did last year, or?
Right. So we do a 2-year operating budget, and so the base model budget that was done last year, and that took forever last year. Mm-hmm. So that budget carries us through June 30th of the fiscal year of next year. So what we do right now is we're making adjustments based on revenue forecast, caseload forecast, things that are happening within agencies as to, if they're needing more or less. And so we make all these adjustments. Hopefully, when you go into a supplemental budget like we're doing right now, hopefully those adjustments aren't anything significant. One of the bigger ones that we have to deal with this year are the wildfires.
Right.
And I think we're getting that handled. So by and large, this supplemental budget doesn't have a lot of adjustments. There are some, like I said, some significant ones, such as the fires. But we're working through it. So we'll do this supplemental budget this year, and then next year when we go into session, we start working on the next 2-year budget. But at the same time, we'll also do adjustments to the current one, if that all makes sense. So we operate on a 2-year budget cycle, and then we have to balance the budget. We're not like the federal government, so we can't be spending more than we're taking in. I think that's good. And we also have to have it balanced out over 4 years. So we also have to do forecasts going out, so that we're not that helps to ensure that we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul in a current budget.
How are the revenue forecasts looking?
They're up. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't have the exact figure. It's not a significant number, but it is up. So that's positive. And again, those when I say they're up relative to the figures that we utilized to adopt this budget last year. So we're continuing to see economic growth in the state, and that's good. And but again, relative to last year, we're not seeing a significant shift on it. Last year's revenue forecasts were nearly a 10% increase over the previous year, a very strong economic growth cycle. And so it's hard to duplicate that 2 years in a row, but it's positive that we are seeing a continued uptick on the economic numbers.
If I remember, the director of public lands, Peter Goldmark, was calling from a $5 million wildlife fund to maybe a $20 million. Is that the number you think that they're working with, or what are the numbers that people are looking at to help stave off another potential wildfire season?
Yeah, there's two components to that, and again, we'll. I don't want to tip the hand. We're still in the final negotiations, so that will come out on Monday. But he certainly asked for an increase in it, and there's two components to the wildfire issue. Well, there is actually preventative things we can do that significantly decrease the risk of wildfires and subsequently the cost. And so there's and a lot of that's also done through Fish and Wildlife. So there's a couple of different departments that work there. And I've been an advocate, though. Obviously, it's always cheaper to do preventative maintenance than it is to have to fight these things. So I'm hoping that we come to a conclusion that we're going to increase that preventative maintenance component. And that's where you do controlled burns. You get rid of some of the undergrowth and some of the dead debris that's out there that acts as nothing more than a fuel source. And if we can do more of that, nothing's going to be 100%, but it's going to certainly reduce the risk of wildfires. And then, it would certainly be easier if we budgeted more than we ended up needing to fight wildfires and make the supplemental cost easier. But generally speaking, in the budget process, you try to dial it in, but it's impossible to predict what the wildfires is going to be like. And I'm encouraged by the snowpack we've had both in the Olympics and the Cascades. It's been a good winter in that regards, and so I think we've got. We're still at risk, but the elements are there for turning the corner and not being a tinderbox like we've been for the last 2 years.
Not necessarily with a potential wildfire, big amount of money, but if you do have set aside a certain amount of money and you do not get to that point. What happens with that allocated funds?
Yeah, so if they're not spent, and this very rarely happens.
Yeah.
A department, and I'm going to speak very broadly because it's different. There's different rules and different RCWs that govern some of this stuff. But unallocated money, agencies and departments do have flexibility to shift their budgets within their agency or within their department, and so they might be able to backfill another area that has issues that's maybe underfunded. But very rarely, and I think this is one of the downsides to the way we operate state government, is that very rarely do you see money go back into the Treasury. I think that's something that we would like to get to. But particularly to wildfires, we haven't had that luxury in a while. But they do have the flexibility to shift those funds within their agency or department and maybe shore up some other areas.
Anything else that you'd like to mention this morning?
Well, today's the cutoff day where any House bill has, and subsequently any Senate bill has to pass its chamber of origin. If a bill does not make it out today by 5 o'clock, it is dead. So we've been on the floor here the last few days and looking forward to it. So what will happen after today, then we go back into committee meetings and we'll be hearing the Senate bills that pass out of the Senate and refer to the House, and for the Senate, vice versa. So looking forward. So we truly are going into the second half here and hopefully wrapping things up on time.
Very good. Drew McEwen, 35th District Representative here in the great state of Washington. It's so nice to talk with you again, and wish you a great day today and a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
Likewise. Have an excellent day.
7:23 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio. We'll take a break now. When we come back, some more news from the Associated Press and the Northwest here on iFIBER ONE News Radio. It's Daybreak.
Listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
iFIBER Communications, the fastest internet provider in Washington State, has just opened their doors here in Mason County and got their first local customers signed up. James, tell me about your experience.
From the first time I learned of iFIBER to the day I got hooked up, even now, I felt that my fiber connection and the service given to me have been the #1 most important job to every member of the iFIBER team. And not just because I was first in line with my nose pressed up to the glass waiting for a company to take my money.
What differences have you noticed?
I get what I pay for. With non-fiber solutions, you're paying up to the top and never get a constant number anywhere near that top. With fiber, you certainly do. With iFIBER, you get it at a competitive and affordable price.
Why should others sign up for iFIBER Internet?
Well, iFIBER has made a commitment to Mason County. They're working hard to bring fast speeds to everyone at an affordable price. And now with phones and television, your bill will be all in one place with no hidden fees or sudden price changes to surprise you month to month like other all-in-one service providers.
Get signed up for iFIBER Communications today by calling 360-427-4000 or visit iFiber.tv for more information.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Good morning to you. 7:26 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Daybreak. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. Morning, Carol.
Good morning, Jeff.
It is a Wednesday. Great conversation we just had with Drew McEwen. That'll be up on the Daybreak page after the end of the program. Also, port of call at 8:45 this morning. Interesting story coming out from Ronda Rousey this morning. Former UFC champion Ronda Rousey admitted that she had thought about committing suicide right after her November knockout loss to Holly Holm. According to ESPN, she was on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and she openly talked about her loss that happened at UFC 193. So up until then, Ronda Rousey was undefeated. She was undefeated, and I think even heavily favored to beat Holly Holm. And before this fight, I don't know if anybody had even really, outside of the fighting circuit, knew who Holly Holm was. So the fight happens. She gets a roundhouse to the head, taken to the hospital. And now you're sitting there. She's in the medical room, and she's in the corner, and she feels that was her whole identity, that she was the undefeated champion and that she was supposed to continue this undefeated streak perhaps forever, I guess. She's talking to herself like, what am I anymore if I am not this champion? Literally sitting there thinking about killing herself in that exact second. She's like, I'm nothing. Rousey told Ellen that her relationship with her boyfriend and UFC heavyweight Travis Brown helped pull her through it. Looked up, saw her boyfriend Travis standing there, and she quickly changed and says, I need to have a family with this guy, and this is the purpose of life. It's not necessarily being in the octagon all the time, but I mean, I could totally see how you're in this. And this is you, and you are Ronda Rousey, undefeated, and you're supposed to be the champion over Holly Holm. And then it all comes. I mean, I think it was not only a shock to her, obviously, that she lost, but everyone else that watched. And but she was able to recover, and she's like in some new commercials I saw her. She's on the cover of Sports Illustrated, the swimsuit issue. I saw that the other day. There's 3 new covers of Sports Illustrated swimsuit. Ronda Rousey, some blonde lady, and then some other lady, the first plus-size model on the
blonde lady.
Well, I guess she was on the second of the 3 covers, and then a plus-size model for the first time on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Maybe they'll stop calling people plus-size eventually.
You would think so.
Yeah, eventually. I guess it's got to start. It's got to start somewhere.
First time, so
yeah,
pretty interesting there. Quite a opening up of emotions there from Ronda Rousey from that. She was on Ellen just the other day. 7:28 here at iFIBER One News Radio. In about a minute and a half, Mary Lynn Foster will step in with the latest in local news here on iFIBER One News Radio. And the lead stories on the website are that the Mason Transit manager resigns under pressure. Mason Transit Authority Board yesterday accepted the resignation of General Manager Brad Patterson in lieu of termination. Mary Lynn Foster will have more details, but Jeff Chu has a great write-up on the story yesterday. In addition to that, the county commissioners have voted to now be able to meet in other counties or locations for regular meetings or joint meetings with other county commissioners. It was a unanimous vote adopting an ordinance to amend the county code so they can now meet at other locations outside of Shelton. And Shelton resident Tom Davis raised concerns about the proposal. He's got some comments in the story, also by Jeff Chu on iFIBER One News Radio, and also
Mason County Commissioners appoint McFadden as interim Public Works Director. Brian Matthews, whose last day as Public Works Director is February 26th. He's going to go to the private sector. So there's been a lot of changes happening in the county. A lot of new faces going to be happening. They're looking for a few people. We have it all on iFiber1newsradio.com.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. The Mason Transit Authority Board accepted the resignation of General Manager Brad Patterson yesterday in lieu of termination. Patterson served as Mason Transit General Manager since 2011. Transit Board Chairwoman Terry Jeffries, a Mason County Commissioner, declined to comment other than to say a complaint was filed against Patterson and investigated. Patterson was allowed to respond to the complaint. Jeffries said she could not discuss who filed the complaint, the nature of the complaint, or why the board asked for Patterson's resignation or be fired. She says that Patterson is on paid administrative leave through February 29th. The news of Patterson's resignation came after the board met for a half hour in closed session to discuss the matter. Danette Brannon, Mason Transit's finance manager since June 2012, was appointed as acting general manager. She was approached by the board 2 weeks ago after Patterson was placed on leave. During its regular meeting yesterday, the board agreed to pay her $1,000 a month more as long as she serves as acting general manager. Brannon was paid a little over $73,000 a year plus benefits as Mason Transit's finance manager. Brannon has not yet decided if she will apply for the permanent Mason Transit general manager opening, and the Transit Board has not yet begun searching for a new general manager. According to the separation agreement, Transit agreed to pay Patterson $25,000 in severance pay, and Patterson agrees not to have any contact with Mason Transit employees. Patterson also agreed to not disparage Mason Transit, its board members, and managers. Patterson's LinkedIn profile lists his current job as Transit Services Manager for the city of Greeley, Colorado. Mason County Commissioners can now meet in other counties or locations for regular meetings or joint meetings with other county commissioners. Commissioners Terry Jeffries, Randy Netherland, and Tim Sheldon unanimously adopted an ordinance to amend county code, allowing them to meet at other locations outside of Shelton. Shelton resident Tom Davis raised concerns about the proposal. He worried that commissioners could change the location of a meeting when there's a hot button issue between two counties with only a 24-hour notice, and suggested that there should be a 30-day notice to give people adequate time to plan to attend. Commissioner Sheldon said the resolution to the issue Davis raised was to elect good commissioners who would not abuse the legislation, adding that out-of-county meetings are rare. In order to hear directly from residents of Washington's 6th Congressional District, Representative Derek Kilmer is holding a series of town halls throughout the region, and he's in Mason County tonight. The town hall is from 5 to 6:30 p.m. in the Skookum Room at Mason County PUD 3 on East Johns Prairie Road in Shelton. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
Is your family doing some growing? Whether it's an expansion of your home or the addition of a new family car, Peninsula Credit Union can provide fast, friendly service with terrific rates. We offer personal lines of credit, affordable auto loans, and a variety of home loan options to get you moving. Visit our offices in Shelton, Belfair, Paulsbo, Port Orchard, and Port Townsend, or go online to pcfcu.org. At Peninsula Credit Union, our priority is you.
If you could wave a wand and change one thing about your house, what would it be?
Hold that thought, but forget the wand. Home improvement isn't magic.
If you're a do-it-yourselfer, we can show you the tricks of the trade for remodeling and repair.
And how to not get fooled when you're choosing and directing a contractor. Hi, I'm Tom Kreitler.
And I'm Leslie Segretti. Phone in your fix-up questions here this weekend.
On the Money Pit Home Improvement Radio Show.
Saturdays at 10, Sundays at 7 on iFIBER One News Radio.
Longhorns and Bears, oh my. Hi, everybody. Todd Ant reporting on sports. A pair of Texas schools pick off ranked teams in college hoops. 24th ranked Texas down 10th ranked West Virginia.
They'll fire threes. They'll get the three. Third three for Connor Lambert. Largest lead for the Longhorns.
On ESPN, Texas wins 85-78. In Waco, Jonathan Motley scored 27 points to lead Baylor past number 13 Iowa State.
Steps behind the three-corner shot, air ball, and Prince has the ball. Here's a 3-on-2. Motley slams it home, and the foul called by Burton.
On ESPN Radio, Baylor takes the 100-91 overtime victory over Iowa State. NBA Clippers coach Doc Rivers said the team wasn't trading Blake Griffin despite the rumors.
No, I told you we're not trading Blake, but I guess everyone else wants to keep doing that, so we'll let them do it. But not from us at all.
And Hornets forward Michael Kidd-Gilchrist done for the season with a shoulder injury. ESPN reporting that Miami Heat's Chris Bosh may be dealing with another blood clot, this time possibly in his leg, and he's resumed taking blood thinners for treatment. ESPN's NBA analyst Chris Broussard.
If it's season ending, there's not a move you're going to be able to make right now that's going to put you on the level of the Cleveland Cavaliers if you don't have Chris Bosh on the basketball court.
Bosh was sidelined last year because of a blood clot on one of his lungs. Plenty of hockey on a Tuesday night, and in Ohio, the Bruins stood tall in OT.
Darting into the right wing circle, drops it back for Krug. He'll throw it towards the net, trap score! And the Bruins win it in overtime.
On 98.5, the Sports Hub, Boston pulled out a 2-1 win over Columbus. Bruins have won for the 10th time in the last 15 games. In the nation's capital, Evgeny Kuznetsov scored the tie-breaking goal with just 2:02 remaining in the game.
Burakovsky now trying to squeak it through. Chris Quick can't cover, loose in front. They score! Evgeny Kuznetsov!
On the Capitals Radio Network, Washington beat the LA Kings 3-1. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
For iFIBER One News Radio at 7:37. Good morning. I'm Jeff Slakey looking at sports. Sue Bird signing a multi-year deal with the Seattle Storm, continuing that long-lasting franchise connection. The team announced the contract yesterday. She's 35 now and the top free agent in the WNBA this season. Always expected, though, to stay with the Storm since she's been here her whole career. Drafted at number 1 in 2002. She's helped Seattle win the WNBA championships in 2004 and 2010. Bird also taking part in the training camp for the Nationals team this month in Connecticut. So she has been on the Olympic squad the last 3 times, and they've won gold the last 3 times with her. But they're actually going to be going for their 6th straight gold medal in Rio this summer. Former WWE wrestling star and Aberdeen native Daniel Bryan speaking about his retirement at the age of 34. Along with his wife and fellow WWE star Brie Bella, ABC News is where they spoke, started suffering seizures after concussions, and that led to his decision to quit wrestling. He tried to keep the seizures a secret, even from his wife, because he didn't want to quit. He loved it. Witnessing one of those seizures became a traumatic experience for Brie. And even in spite of that, he says, please don't tell anybody. Keep this a secret. A pro wrestler for 16 years. He noted in his retirement announcement that he have loved this, I'm talking about wrestling, in a way that he had never loved anything else. Again, Daniel Bryan from Aberdeen. This week on iFIBER One News Radio, Gonzaga basketball for you tomorrow night against Pacific, 5:40 the pregame, tip-off at 6. Saturday, St. Mary's, 6:40 the pregame, and 7 o'clock the tip. It's 7:39 here at iFIBER One News Radio, and moving on to the weather forecast, here's Carol.
Good morning. It's 45, mostly cloudy. Rain showers today will evolve into a more steady rain for the afternoon. Thunder possible, high of 54. The rest of the week, more the same. Rain showers, the highs are going to stay around 50, and right now it's 45.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
7:39 here at iFIBER One News Radio, and a good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. We've got Port of Call coming up in about an hour here on Daybreak.
Some headlines from around the area. An Arlington area man has filed a lawsuit against Everett after he was denied access to his dog records at a public animal shelter. The Daily Herald reports that Jonathan Bander had filed a lawsuit after he was denied access to records while looking for his missing Pomeranian mix Hyde. He went to the animal shelter after Hyde went missing in January. The shelter has a binder of stray animals for people seeking missing pets. A shelter employee told Bander he couldn't see a dog he thought might be Hyde. When he returned to the shelter days later, the dog's kennel card had been removed. He filed a records request, which was denied. Now, a city spokesperson says Bander's records request was mistakenly denied, and they plan to communicate with Bander to resolve the issue.
I don't feel like that story is going to end well.
No.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Former treasurer of a Clark County Little League organization accused of embezzling thousands of dollars from the organization pled not guilty. Columbian reports that 39-year-old Liska Stokes entered a not guilty plea yesterday to theft, tampering with physical evidence, and money laundering. She appeared in court while out of custody and was released on her own recognizance. Stokes has served as the La Center's Little League treasurer from 2011 to 2015 and is accused of stealing between $9,000 and $23,000 from the organization.
Officials appointed Andrew Barkis to fill the legislative seat vacated earlier this month by Republican Graham Hunt. He had exaggerated his service in the military. Thurston County commissioners and Pierce County council members announced their choice on Tuesday. Barkas was one of 3 candidates, including Amy Kruger and Carrie Hooks French, put forth by Washington State Republican Party. Barkas lives in Olympia, is the owner of Hometown Property Management, graduate of Seattle University, and ran for Thurston County Commission in 2012. He'll have to go before voters in the August primary if he wants to serve out the remaining 2 years. Hunt resigned earlier this month, saying there are inconsistencies in the record of his military service.
A man who was 14 when he was sentenced to life without parole for a 1987 murder has been released from a Washington state prison. Northwest News Network reports that now 42-year-old Barry Massey walked out of the Monroe Corrections Center on Tuesday. He is the first person to benefit from a 2014 state law presumes that juveniles sentenced to life in prison should be released after 25 years behind bars. 7:42, we'll take a quick break. When we come back on Daybreak, passing of a movie and TV star to share.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Hi guys, Kat here with iFIBER ONE News Radio. What if I told you that radio advertising is far more effective than print media? Think about all of your customers driving to work, appointments, or events, all the while listening to the radio. Imagine your commercial airs on iFIBER ONE News Radio and the customer decides, hey, I'm right by there. I'm going to go check it out. Radio captures you and literally speaks to you and your customers several times a day. This enables you to build a unique message that reminds your customers what you have to offer. Remember, your customers can either drive to you or through you. And here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, we want to direct customers to you. Being the only talk radio formatted station in the entire South Sound region, we have an entire new market for your business to advertise in. As your sales lady, I take pride in providing your business with the best advertising because I want your business to succeed. So call me today at 360-463-2558 and ask for Kat.
Previously on the Under the Hood Show.
This would be Glenn.
Hey, Glenn, go ahead.
I've got an 87 Honda that I just picked up for a song, like $100, and it runs beautifully at 305,000 miles.
Quite impressive.
But when you start it, you have to start it 3 times to get the automatic choke to kick in properly.
So what, Glenn? It was $100.
Go under the hood, Saturdays at noon on iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 1033.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Got Karnowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corners, Nelson driving baseline and a two-handed throw down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with 2 hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 1033. Presents Daybreak.
$7:45 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Good morning to you. Passing of a movie TV star. Passed in North Bend. Carol?
George Gaines, who played Commander Lassard in the Police Academy movies and was also featured in Tootsie as soap opera star John Van Horn, died Monday at the age of 98. Passed away at his daughter's home in North Bend, Washington. She told that to the New York Times. During his long career, Gaines also appeared in TV series Punky Brewster as foster parent Henry Warnemont and Hearts of Fire and in Chicago Hope.
Oh, he was on Chicago Hope.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Commandant Lassard. What a great... we were just rewatching these Police Academy movies. Stephanie and I were. And they are so funny.
They are very funny.
And they are so 80s. Man, Steve Guttenberg, Michael Winslow, who's the guy of the Million Voices, a sound effect guy who's also in Spaceballs. And those movies are just so fun with that bumbling Commandant Lassard at the Police Academy. And you know who also was his foil was the guy who now is in Major Crimes, and he was in The Closer and Major Crimes. He's like been a cop his whole acting career. And just some of those movies, we were talking about something. Do you remember last week or 2 weeks ago when the story came out about the sheriffs wanting the jet skis?
Oh, yes.
Well, I did the due diligence because, I got to prepare. So I watched Police Academy 5 or 6, whichever one where they go to Miami Beach, because they use jet skis in that movie to apprehend criminals. So I decided to watch that movie to do a little research on what they would be using it for.
And how'd they do?
Well, they did great. I mean, they saved everybody, of course. It's Police Academy. So that's a tough one. How old was he? 98.
Yeah.
Wow, good for him. 7:46 at iFIBER ONE News Radio, and a good morning to you. Jeff Slakey and Carol Gardner here with you on Daybreak, and coming up in about an hour, Port of Call. Tomorrow at 8:33, we're going to be talking with sports director Sean Wells about some news sports notes, including the Matt Classic, which is this weekend. And there's 22 local grapplers heading up to the T-Dome to take part of Matt Classic. Also, we'll discuss with him the release or trading. I'm not sure how it worked out. I'll have to find out more about this. But Obafemi Martins leaving the Sounders. He's going to China. So that's with sports director Sean Wells tomorrow at 8:33.
Did you hear about this wannabe Doogie Howser busted running his own medical practice?
No.
An 18-year-old Florida man who was busted last year trying to pass himself off as a doctor has been arrested, this time after he'd been operating his own medical facility. According to ABC News affiliate WPBF-TV, the Florida Department of Health said it determined Malachi Love Robinson was leading the public to believe he was a doctor and was practicing medicine without a license at his New Birth, New Life Alternative Medicine and Urgent Care Clinic.
How do you get to the point where you can open a building and you're not legit?
It's amazing to me that could actually happen.
What processes fell through the cracks where this could happen? I
don't know. It's obviously a good con man, though. They said the website looked professional, but grammatically challenged, spelling lots of words wrongs. I don't know. Maybe because it was more of a natural alternative medicine, they weren't looking at it as closely. I don't know.
So his name, what his on his business card or whatever, his moniker, Dr. Love Robinson, PhD. And we all know what PhD means. But then there was HHP-C and AMP-C. Doctors and nurses listening right now are going, I don't think Jeff read that right. No, that's what it said. But these acronyms don't mean anything. They're just letters.
I know, but how many of those acronyms do you really know what they mean when you see this list?
Well, you and I were having this conversation about finding a doctor the other day. What is it? What do these letters even mean?
Yeah.
We know PhD. I've never heard of any of these other ones.
Yeah. Well,
that is amazing.
Tip led to an undercover sheriff's office agent to pose as a patient, and then as soon as he took his temperature, her temperature, blood pressure, and listened to her lungs, then he was arrested. Caught in action.
7:50 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio. We'll take a break here from the Old Farmer's Almanac now, and when we come back, we'll have more news from the Northwest and beyond. I'm getting excited I think Ben Affleck is going to be the bomb when it comes to the Batman movies. I don't know.
Other people think he's going to bomb.
Carol thinks he's going to...
No, I don't. I said other.
Okay, we'll find out how he feels about it coming up.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
We celebrate the year's most diminutive month with a tribute to all things short. That is shortly on the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Wednesday, February 17th, the 48th day of the year. NBA great Michael Jordan has a birthday, and 50 years ago today, Brian Wilson began work on the rock classic Good Vibrations. February may have an extra day this year, but it is still the shortest month. A good excuse for some fascinating facts about the world's shortest things. The shortest scheduled airplane flight, for example, is about 1.5 miles. It's between 2 Scottish isles. The world's shortest river, the Roe River in Montana, 201 feet long. And the world's shortest professional boxing match was in 1946, when Ralph Walton was dropped in 10.5 seconds, including the 10-second count. We could go on, but our short bit of airtime is up. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Find more fun facts online at almanac.com.
The Tom Hartman Show, live 9 to noon, weekdays on iFIBER One News Radio.
This is not an election cycle where middle-of-the-road Democrats are going to stir up enough of the base and enough excitement and enthusiasm that they're going to seriously win elections. And that's the thing that Republicans have figured out and Democrats have yet to learn, which is that elections are not about swaying so-called undecided voters. They're about stirring up the base. The base will bring the undecided voters along with them. They'll do it through social media. They'll do it through talking to their neighbors. They'll do it by talking to people in the workplace. But you've got to energize the base.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Got Kornowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corners, Nelson driving baseline, and a two-handed throw down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with two hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network. From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
7:53 at iFIBER One News Radio, and good morning to you. It's Daybreak. I'm Jeff Slakey, along with Carol Gardner. Very happy to be back with you this morning. It's a nice holiday, but love getting back into the friendly confines of the old radio ranch.
Yeah, and I think Dale was glad to sleep in this morning.
He probably was. One of the things that we did do down there was watch some television. Normally not. For whatever reason, when I watch TV, I don't see movie previews. But I saw a bunch of them down there. Maybe because it's Hollywood, California, no, whatever. I don't know. But they were showing previews for that Batman, the new Batman movie.
Right.
And Ben Affleck, when the news came out that Ben was going to be Batman, there was of course, on the internet, there's an automatic pushback to everything.
Right.
But this was pretty vitriolic in certain senses. The more of the previews I see, I like Ben Affleck.
I do too.
I don't know. I mean, there was that Geely movie, whatever. Everybody makes a bad movie in Hollywood. But
everybody makes a
bad one. This looks like a good movie. So Ben Affleck says there's some pressure, of course, to live up to fans' expectations when it comes to the latest role as Batman in the much anticipated Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. He really cares about it, and he wants it to do well, of course, when he talks to Good Morning America. Got to work with some really talented people, really proud of what he was able to do. Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill appeared on Good Morning America yesterday to discuss the upcoming movie. Affleck says he's received advice from other actors who've played Batman on the big screen, including George Clooney and Christian Bale.
I talked to a couple of people. I talked to Clooney. He had some advice which is not repeatable. And I talked to Christian, who just told me to make sure I got a zipper in the suit, which was valuable, practical advice, as it turned out.
So this is a lot different looking Batman in the previews, it seems. Jeremy Irons plays Alfred, his butler, and Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman, and Jesse Eisenberg is Lex Luthor, and that's pretty darn cool. He was also talking about the shape, like physical, like the physical shape that you need to be in if you're going to be in one of these movies.
Yeah, I saw the first movie that he was in and was kind of like, wow, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to be quite in that good a shape. But he's definitely set a high bar, but he also has to be in that high bar because he's, an alien. Aliens have to look a certain way. I figured I had a lower bar to reach. I'm just a man, after all.
Just a man filling the need. It was interesting that in the, there's Gotham City, because that's where Batman's from, and then Metropolis is where Superman is from. So it'd be really interesting to see how these two universes from the DC comic book world get together. Cavill was joking that he got through the actual filming of the movie by holding a certain pose while wearing his Superman suit. You got to stand there and look good, look like Superman. Affleck admitted he looked on in envy when he saw that really light-looking Superman armor. Had the plastic regular suit and then a metal suit on top of that, and he's fighting Superman, and he would see him over there with a cup of coffee, just joke. I think this looks like a pretty good movie. Amy Adams returns, because it's kind of like a sequel to Superman with Henry Cavill. But they're bringing in, basically what I'm seeing is that Superman's there, and he's fought crime, and crime is done or something. And then Batman, Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck comes in and goes, wait a second, why are we honoring this guy so much? If we think that he is even 1% an enemy, we should treat him as an enemy. And now he's Bruce Wayne, and then they fight, and this is going to lead
Why do they think he's an enemy?
Well, because there's the unknown. The unknown of him being not from this planet. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Batman would even feel that way.
Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
And why did they take so long to
bring these
talk to each other?
I don't know. March
It will be interesting to see how it all pans out.
25 is when that movie comes out. 7:57 at iFIBER One News Radio, and a good morning to you. It is Daybreak here. Coming up on the big show, Port of Call at 8:45, and tomorrow join us at 7:45 as Jeannie Raywalt comes in to talk about the next Garden Gate class, which is at Memorial Hall on 2nd and Franklin from 9 to 12. It's this coming Saturday, and the topic, fruit trees, planting, pruning, and care. When we got back last night, walked outside and looked at some of the plants, trees that we have that are supposed to sprout fruit, and we started seeing little buds coming out. And you mentioned to me earlier this morning that it's that time.
Yeah, well, they've been budding for a while, some of them. Yeah, it seems surprising, like, well, it's still winter, it's not officially spring, but, they have their own time frame, and they're going through the motions, and
spring comes
March 20th.
March 20th, just 5 days before Superman. 7:58 here at iFIBER One News Radio. We'll take that break and get to ABC News. After the news, Marilyn Foster updates us on some top local stories, including news about the Mason Transit Authority. The county commissioners are backing options to meet outside the county, and Melissa McFadden is the new interim Public Works Director. Those stories and more all come from Marilyn Foster here on iFIBER One News Radio, right after ABC News, which is coming up next.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Tobert, your advertising consultant from iFIBER One News Radio. Are you missing customers because you only market to a specific group? iFIBER One News Radio can help you hit a larger group of buyers with our diverse audience. We are 24 hours of local and national breaking news, award-winning talk radio, and primetime sports, including local high school sports. What does this mean to you? This means our listeners listen longer to entire programs and don't switch to another station when a commercial comes on. Our coverage in the Puget Sound area hits over 500,000 listeners, including Mason County, Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, King, Pierce, Joint Base Lewis McCourt, and Kitsap County to the Bremerton Naval Base. All advertising is 100% tax deductible. So how can you afford not to advertise? Call me, Mark Tobert, at iFIBER One News Radio to become a total audience plan advertiser. Just call 360-426-1030.
Tom Hartman is live and waiting your call weekdays from 9 to noon on iFIBER One News Radio, AM 1030, FM 1033, KMAS Shelton.
Bennett. With South Carolina's GOP primary on Saturday and Donald Trump leading the Republican pack, President Obama has weighed in, says ABC's Tom Llamas.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president. And the reason is because I have a lot of faith in the American people.
President Barack Obama is now doubling down on his prediction that the American people will not make Donald Trump the next president of the United States. Obama is saying that Trump's skills will not help him in the White House because it's not a TV show. It has nothing to do with marketing.
In the Democratic race, Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders have been fighting for the key minority vote. Nevada's Democratic caucuses are this weekend. More from ABC's Cecilia Vega.
The race in Nevada is neck and neck, but so is that battle for Black and Latino voters. As Bernie Sanders tries to gain ground, Clinton is fighting back hard.
Apple will fight a federal magistrate's order to help the FBI access the iPhone that belonged to one of the San Bernardino, California shooters. ABC's senior Justice Department correspondent Pierre Thomas.
A federal judge in California ordering Apple to help the FBI unlock an iPhone used by Saeed Farouk, who went on a murderous rampage with his wife, leaving 14 dead in San Bernardino. The ruling could be a key victory in the FBI's long-running battle with Apple and other tech companies over the government's ability to access encrypted data on smartphones and tablets.
Tens of thousands are expected to gather later today at the Sun Bowl Stadium in El Paso, Texas, to watch Pope Francis hold a large outdoor mass just across the border in Mexico. The mass will be shown on the stadium's giant screens. ABC's Jim Ryan in El Paso.
In a place where some estimates put the Catholic population at 80%, excitement over seeing the head of the church is intense. Pilgrims have come here from around the region hoping for a glimpse of Pope Francis. Some predict a crowd approaching 200,000.
This is ABC News.
QL1, this is Control. Does Rocket Mortgage require me to fill out a bunch of paperwork? That's negative, Control. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that quickly and seamlessly imports your financial data. You can go through the entire mortgage process on your own and completely online. Copy that, QL1, but if I wanted to speak to someone, do you think they're out there? They're out there, all right. I've made contact before. In fact, according to J.D. Power, they've provided award-winning client service for 6 years in a row. Roger that, QL1. It's nice to know they're out there, wherever they are. Detroit, Control. They're in Detroit. Over. 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button. Get mortgage. Rocket.
Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Former UFC champion Ronda Rousey coming forward, admitting that her knockout loss in November sent her into an emotional tailspin. ABC's Lindsay Davis with a story.
She's speaking out for the first time on camera since her shocking defeat to Holly Holm in November, tearfully revealing that she had suicidal thoughts following her devastating loss. Rousey, whose father committed suicide when she was just 8 years old, credits her boyfriend of almost a year, UFC heavyweight Travis Brown, for picking her back up. The 29-year-old now admits she was burnt out after competing in her third title fight in 9 months. And while she might be out of the running for now, she says she has big plans for the future. Lindsay Davis, ABC News, New York.
The South Dakota Senate has approved a bill that would require transgender students to use bathrooms and locker rooms that correspond to their gender at birth. Opponents say the legislation discriminates against vulnerable young people. The Dow up 200 points. Joan Bennett.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The Mason Transit Authority Board accepted the resignation of General Manager Brad Patterson yesterday in lieu of termination. Patterson served as Mason Transit General Manager since 2011. Transit Board Chairwoman Terry Jeffries, a Mason County Commissioner, declined to comment other than to say a complaint was filed against Patterson and investigated. Patterson was allowed to respond to the complaint. Jeffries said she could not discuss who filed the complaint, the nature of the complaint, or why the board asked for Patterson's resignation or be fired. She says that Patterson is on paid administrative leave through February 29th. The news of Patterson's resignation came after the board met for a half hour in closed session to discuss the matter. Danette Brannon, Mason Transit's finance manager since June 2012, was appointed as acting general manager. She was approached by the board 2 weeks ago after Patterson was placed on leave. During its regular meeting yesterday, the board agreed to pay her $1,000 a month more as long as she serves as acting general manager. Brannon was paid a little over $73,000 a year plus benefits as Mason Transit's finance manager. Brannon has not yet decided if she will apply for the permanent Mason Transit general manager opening, and the Transit Board has not yet begun searching for a new general manager. According to the separation agreement, Transit agreed to pay Patterson $25,000 in severance pay, and Patterson agrees not to have any contact with Mason Transit employees. Patterson also agreed to not disparage Mason Transit, its board members, and managers. Patterson's LinkedIn profile lists his current job as Transit Services Manager for the city of Greeley, Colorado. Mason County commissioners can now meet in other counties or locations for regular meetings or joint meetings with other county commissioners. Commissioners Terry Jeffries, Randy Netherland, and Tim Sheldon unanimously adopted an ordinance to amend county code, allowing them to meet at other locations outside of Shelton. Shelton resident Tom Davis raised concerns about the proposal. He worried that commissioners could change the location of a meeting when there's a hot button issue between two counties with only a 24-hour notice, and suggested that there should be a 30-day notice to give people adequate time to plan to attend. Commissioner Sheldon said the resolution to the issue Davis raised was to elect good commissioners who would not abuse the legislation, adding that out-of-county meetings are rare. In order to hear directly from residents of Washington's 6th Congressional District, Representative Derek Kilmer is holding a series of town halls throughout the region, and he's in Mason County tonight. The town hall is from 5 to 6:30 p.m. in the Skookum Room at Mason County PUD 3 on East Johns Prairie Road in Shelton. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores! Got Karnowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corners, Nelson driving, baseline, and a two-handed throw-down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson!
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with two hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
Hi, I'm Ken Slater, the Roof Doctor. If you're like me, your family's important, so make sure that they're well taken care of. One of the best ways to do that is to provide a safe and warm home to live in. For over 50 years, the Roof Doctor has been helping families stay safe and warm by building roofs that last for generations. Our teams have some of the most experienced roofers in the area, and we only use the highest quality materials to keep your family safe, warm, and dry. That's the Roof Doctor. Give us a call.
For iFIBER One News Radio, good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey. It's 8:08. We're looking at sports on Daybreak. Sue Bird has signed a multi-year deal with the Seattle Storm. The team announced the contract yesterday. 35-year-old Bird, top free agent in the WNBA season, although always expected to stick with the Storm. She was drafted number 1 in 2002 and helped the Seattle Storm win NBA championships in 2004 and 2010. Bird will be also taking part in the training camps for the Olympics, which are coming up this summer. She has helped the Americans win the last 3 Olympic titles. Overall, the U.S. will be going for its 6th straight gold medal in Rio this summer. So if they're going for their 6th straight, that means they've reigned supreme for 24 years in basketball. Is that how that works? Because if the Summer Olympics are every 4 years. Oh, man, that's impressive.
That's like leap year math.
Although he's not an official part of the 33rd annual Yukon Quest sled dog race, a bicyclist had set a new record along the frigid and exhausting course between Fairbanks and Whitehorse. A guy named Jeff Oatley completed the 1,600-kilometer race on his fat bike. These are the ones with those wide tires to help give more traction on snow, soft surfaces like snow and the beach and things like that. Followed the same course that the dog teams did and came in just behind the second place musher. Daniel Bryan from Aberdeen, he's a former WWE wrestling star, is now speaking out about his retirement at age 34, talking to ABC News about seizures that have started happening after concussions, leading to his decision to quit wrestling. Wanted to keep it a secret at first, didn't want to quit. It's his passion. So much so, in his announcement, he noted, "I have loved wrestling in a way that I have never loved anything else." Stepped out of the ring for good last year, having a surgery on his neck. And during his retirement announcement, he also clarified that he does not blame the WWE for his injuries or his early retirement. And he notes that the WWE even stopped him from wrestling after his last concussion, despite the fact that multiple doctors saying that he was okay to proceed. Sports broadcast schedule for you this week. Tomorrow, Gonzaga basketball versus Pacific. Airtime 5:40. The tip will be at 6. Saturday, we do it again. This time, though, against St. Mary's. 6:40 the pregame and 7 o'clock the tip. It's 8:11 right now, and here's Carol with a look at the forecast.
Good morning. It's 46, mostly cloudy. Rain showers today will evolve into a more steady rain for the afternoon. We should reach a high of 55. The rest of the week, more of the same. Rain showers, highs are right around 50, and right now it's 46.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
8:12 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, and a good morning to you. I'm Jess Lickey and Carol Gardner alongside. Hello.
Hello.
We've got Transit Talk in a few moments with Christina Kramer from MTA. Also, wrapping up this hour will be Port of Call with Dick Taylor and John Dobson, our weekly conversation about all the things that are happening on Port of Shelton properties, including the Johns Prairie area, the Marina, and Sanderson Field. It's 8:11 right now, and Carol, some information about some razor clam digs.
Yeah, the Washington State Department Fish and Wildlife just said that their raisin clam diggers can count on openings beginning February 19th at Mo Crocs beaches and Copalis, and shellfish managers, they announced that today. Additionally, Long Beach remains open to clam digging on afternoon or evening times through March 10th, and we have all the dates listed on our website, iFIBER1newsradio.com.
Listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Help create healthier futures for kids when you visit Papa Murphy's all this month. Purchase a heart for $1 now through February 29th. All proceeds support healthy cooking and nutrition programs at a local Boys and Girls Club.
Donate today and give kids the tools they need to live healthier tomorrow.
You can help over 1,000 local kids in Western Washington learn about fresh and healthy food choices. Doesn't that make you feel all warm and cheesy? Purchase a heart today.
From the Boys and Girls Club of Western Washington.
And Papa Murphy's. Love at 425 degrees.
Hi, this is Terry Allen with a look at the community calendar on iFIBER ONE News Radio. Nonprofits post your upcoming events on iFIBER1newsradio.com. Shelton Elks holds a bingo night every Thursday. Play begins at 6 p.m. Food and beverage is available. Open to the public at 741 Southeast Craig Road. Doors open at 5 p.m. For iFIBER ONE News Radio, I'm Terry Allen.
Hi guys, Kat here with iFIBER ONE News Radio. What if I told you that radio advertising is far more effective than print media? Think about all of your customers driving to work, appointments, or events, all the while listening to the radio. Imagine your commercial airs on iFIBER ONE News Radio and the customer decides, hey, I'm right by there. I'm going to go check it out. Radio captures you and literally speaks to you and your customers several times a day. This enables you to build a unique message that reminds your customers what you have to offer. Remember, your customers can either drive to you or through you. And here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, we want to direct customers to you. Being the only talk radio formatted station in the entire South Sound region, we have an entire new market for your business to advertise in. As your sales lady, I take pride in providing your business with the best advertising because I want your business to succeed. So call me today at 360-463-2558 and ask for Kat.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio, KMAS.
All right, good morning to you. It's 8:15 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Daybreak, I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning.
We have a great guest in studio for our transit talk this morning, and it's Christina Kramer. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff and Carol.
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning.
How's it going?
Good. I'm so used to saying Jeff and Dale.
I know.
It's nice to meet you.
We are talking about some different things that are happening at Mason Transit Authority, including some hiring that's happening and volunteer work that people can look into.
Yes. Yeah, we always have so much going on. It's nice to be able to come in and talk once a week about all the stuff. So hiring, we're hiring for drivers right now. And you do not have to have your CDL to be considered for employment. You just have to be able to get your CDL within the first 30 days. I believe 30 days. I'll have to check my facts on that. We do train to that, though. The position starts at about $14.60 as your training wage, and then after your probation period, that goes up to over $15 an hour. You're in training for 2 to 3 months, I think, before you're out on the road. We're looking to hire 4 drivers, and we're reviewing applications right now. The start date for that will be, I believe, March 7th is when we'll start the training classes.
Are there specific qualities that you look?
Customer service, customer service. Our drivers are our ambassadors out there in the community. They're the first point of contact for our riders. And then safety, being able to be safety oriented. Safety is really number one, but customer service is also part of safety. So again, you don't have to have the CDL. We are looking for a clean driving record. You do have to include your driving record. We do a criminal background check, and we are a drug-free company, so of course we do safety sensitive.
When so 4 bus opportunities, is that to expand the routes or to add just more personnel?
We have been short drivers actually for years, driving really across a lot of different, school bus drivers as well as large truck drivers kind of thing. It's really difficult right now to recruit for that position. I was just talking to the director for the Head Start transportation program, and he was talking about the same thing, that they're having difficulty getting drivers in. So what is happening is we have part-time drivers that are working, more than part-time in order to fulfill those empty spaces. So really we're just trying to get to that point that we have a full staff.
Why do you suppose it's hard? I mean, why is there a decline in drivers? I mean,
I haven't looked into that, so I don't have an answer. And I don't work in HR, so I feel like anything that I would respond to on that would probably be anecdotal and maybe not correct. So I don't know, other than maybe people don't think it's a viable career option. I will say that, we definitely encourage our staff to excel, and we encourage career development. So just because you come in as a driver doesn't mean you necessarily end as a driver. We just recently had a driver promoted within to a safety and training instructor. Our safety and training instructor ended up succeeding in becoming the operations manager when that position came open. So there really is a lot of career opportunities in public transit that I don't think a lot of people think about. Take me, for instance. I'm an outreach manager. I do marketing and advertising and this. I just did a presentation to the Skookum Rotary, so I've been up since 5. You're my second presentation. And so I think that people don't really think of it as that's my anecdotal. I said I wasn't going to answer, but I ended up going there anyways.
How are you fixing that? You're starting to work with social media more to maybe get the word out that there's more to it than just driving a bus?
Yeah. So last year we launched a new website. That's one thing that we're doing to kind of improve our outreach. Our old website was really embarrassing.
I think everybody's old website is embarrassing. I look back and I'm like,
so we've got a new website that I think is really much more user-friendly and intuitive, and we can highlight our career opportunities and talk about the business a little bit better. Social media, we have a Twitter account. I started really using it. Somebody had put it in place prior to me, and I started using it a year ago. We had about 20 followers. I'm up to 150.
Excellent.
Yeah, I know. I'm really excited about that small number, actually.
Well, I always like it when I see the Twitter come across about is there a route that's closed or something extra special happening, and I follow it up. So I do appreciate
The
it.
Twitter account really is mainly for that. Service alerts, as you know, it's really quick, it's news, it's immediate, it's that kind of thing. And that's really what I'm gearing that towards. Our goal for later this year is to launch a Facebook page. I've been working for the last year or two to really kind of set the foundation and get policies in place and just research best methods for using that. And so once we do that, the Facebook page will be kind of more human piece stories, a little bit of the service alerts, but not quite as much because I don't think Facebook users really want to be that quick little news bite. It's a little more interactive than that. And so, kind of looking forward to that. Also a little terrified.
As an outreach manager there, as outreach, does social media, I mean, that's the thing now? I mean, people are using that?
We're behind the times on that one.
Okay.
We really are. Most transit agencies have had Facebook for a really long time, and Twitter as well. For us, it was really when that started happening and you saw that increase, we just didn't have staff in place. And one of the most important things with launching a social media is you need to be able to maintain it. So we're not going to launch something that we're not going to be able to interact with daily kind of thing and really provide the best customer service through that medium. So we're at a place now where I think that we can do that. And so, we're going to do that. And then the other one I'm kind of looking at maybe is Instagram.
That's the picture one?
Yeah. So my goal eventually is to do also a transit blog where I can feature writers, put a human face to what we do. I think for people who don't ride the bus, it's important to kind of humanize the service that we're doing and help folks recognize that even if you don't ride the bus, you benefit from having transit in your community. It's part of a livable community. It's part of increasing the quality of life. And there's a lot of studies being right now, you hear the millennials, that's a very common term, and millennials, less and less are driving, less and less are getting cars right away when they turn 16, and more want public transportation as an option. Even if they don't use it, they want it as an option. And so you're seeing a really big impetus on this trend of transit-oriented development, especially in urban areas, of course, but it's starting to spill over more so into rural areas. As you know, ours was the Transit Community Center as our first kind of step towards creating that livable community idea and something that is desirable for millennials so that our youth of our community, may leave and go to college, but will come back.
Right.
So, yeah.
So you mentioned some potential job openings, also always volunteers.
Another program that we have that I think a lot of people aren't aware of is our volunteer driver program. I've been trying to recruit volunteers for years and not very successfully. And so I've had to look at why is that, because I'm doing everything I've been trained to do, from newspaper ads to grassroots, going out to community organizations, stuff like that. Well, last year I partnered with United Way of Mason County to do a volunteer recruitment fair. And I realized, because the first person that came to my booth and I was like, hey, volunteer driver program, they're like, oh no, I don't want to drive a bus. Light bulb. I do a good job branding wise, and people recognize our logo and they think bus. And so one of the things I'm working on this year is rebranding the volunteer driver program so that people will see a brochure or see the information and recognize right away that's not driving a bus. What it is you're driving your own vehicle, you're volunteering your time, and we reimburse you your mileage. And you're driving seniors, 60 years of age or older, 90% to medical appointments outside of the county, because we just don't have the medical facilities here to cover the needs of everybody. And so we do a lot of transportation to Olympia. We go as far as Seattle. We've got people going to Seattle multiple times a week. And I have 5 drivers right now that are providing service for 75 people. But that's actually declined. When I first started 8 years ago, we had 17 drivers and probably about 150 clients. So I've seen this correlation between, the less drivers, the less service I can provide. And I think it's hard for people to ask for help in the first place. And then if you're told, no, I don't have a driver, it becomes even more hard. And so then my concern is people out there who may not have the transportation that they need. The reality is while public transportation is great, if you're somebody who has, physical ailments that make it really difficult to be riding a bus to Seattle, that's not going to work well for you. And then you're faced with missing medical appointments, with declining health, and then with the potential of not being able to stay in your home. And so it really benefits the community to have this program, because we're allowing, that sounds wrong. We're not allowing.
Sure.
We're helping people remain independent and stay in their homes and contribute to our local economy and have that sense of quality of life. So the great thing about this volunteer opportunity is that it is completely flexible to your time and your needs. I will say it's important to be able to be available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, because those are your doctor's office hours. But if you're somebody who works like a part-time job, it doesn't mean that you couldn't volunteer. And again, you have to use your own vehicle, so your vehicle does have to be safe. We do inspections. We do a background check, so no violent crimes, because you are working with vulnerable population. And then we also do a driving record check. So after somebody has passed those steps, then we do an orientation, we do a passenger assistance training, and a defensive driving training. The great thing about the defensive driving is some car insurances, if you provide them with that certificate, they will give you a break on your car insurance. But you got to check on that. And so once that's all done and you're signed up and you're ready to go, basically what it looks like is we'll call you once a week and we'll say, hey, these are the rides that we have next week. This is where they're going. These are the times. Are you available? And you can say, nope. There's no pressure. I got plenty of people say no all the time. Or you say, yes, it's great. I'm available. And we'll share the client information at that time and appointment information. You go pick the person up, take them to their appointment, wait. You're allowed to not have to stay there necessarily. You can go run errands. I have a lot of people that do that while they're in Olympia, and then bring them back home. All of the folks are ambulatory. That's one of the requirements, because people are using their own vehicles. So if somebody is a wheelchair user that isn't able to get out of their wheelchair and into a car, unfortunately, we can't transport them via the volunteer driver program and would refer them to other services. I think that about covers it.
Okay.
Funding, we get funding from the area, Lewis Mason Thurston Area Agency on Aging for the program. And that's what sets that age range of over 60, because the funding is coming from the Older Americans Act and the Washington State Senior Citizen Services. It's a really long one. So state and federal funding specific to senior citizens.
How can people get in touch? What's the Twitter handle? What's the website? What's the phone number?
I'm glad you asked. So for the website, it's masontransit.org, and you can find information about the volunteer driver program under services. Okay. You can find information about the job opportunities under business. Well, we also have these fantastic little quick links. You can click on that. It's a little briefcase picture. And then as far as Twitter, it's at Mason Transit for our Twitter handle. And then if you want to call us with questions, our phone number is 1-800-347-3474. I gotta write it down, I think, to actually know it off the top of my head. I'll have to look at that. The local number is 360-427-5033.
And so Twitter would be good for people who use the bus on a day-to-day basis. If there's any kind of rider alerts, that's where they would pop up.
That or just quick news bites. Like today, I put in that I was coming in to Transit Talks and to tune in and listen. And other stuff coming down the road, we'll do some briefs. I'm kind of letting the folks that follow it guide it and see where that goes. Yeah.
Great. Christina Kramer from Mason Transit. Well, thank you so much. We'll talk Transit Talk next week at the same time.
Thank you.
It's 8:29 right now, and what we're going to do now is flip over to the, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get to Karen Shade, who's on the line for the latest in the stock market here on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Habitat for Humanity of Mason County invites you to shop their local retail stores in Belfair and in Shelton. At Habitat for Humanity stores, you'll find amazing bargains on discounted home improvement supplies, gently used furniture, and so much more. And when you shop Habitat for Humanity, your dollars are put to work helping to improve, build, and maintain affordable housing right here in Mason County. Habitat for Humanity. Let's build a strong community together.
iFiber One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It's 8:30 here at iFiber One News Radio. On the phone line is Karen Shade from Edward Jones. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday.
It is a Wednesday.
I like these short weeks. They mess me up, but I love them.
Yeah, for sure. So what about Wall Street? Are they happy about it's a short week?
They are. They are. U.S. stocks are advancing and are on track for a third straight day of gains. In economic news, new home construction unexpectedly cooled in January, while another gauge showed a surprise increase in wholesale prices last month as higher food costs more than made up for the decline in energy. A separate measure showed manufacturing output rose, exceeding expectations as well. U.S. bonds are edging lower with continued strength in equities. So far this morning, the S&P 500, the best performing sector is energy, while the worst performing sector is utilities. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 213 points at 16,409. The Standard & Poor's 500 Index is up 26 points at 1,922, and the NASDAQ Composite Index is up 83 points at 4,519. This morning, volume on the New York Stock Exchange is high, with about 310 million shares being traded, and advancers are outnumbering decliners by a wide margin. In the commodity markets, the spot price of gold is up $10.46 to $1,210.89. The spot price of silver is up 12 cents to $15.34, and crude oil prices are up $1.54 to $30.58. In the bond markets, the 30-year Treasury yield is currently 2.71%, and the 10-year Treasury yield is 1.84%. Stocks of local interest: Amazon is up $11.41, Costco is up $1.56, Boeing is up $3.25, Starbucks is up 12 cents, and Microsoft is up $1.06. This is Karen Shade of Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and long-term financial advice. I'm located at 1051 Southeast State Route 3 in Shelton, and if you'd like additional information, you can contact me at 426-4590, and daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
All right, thank you, Karen.
Welcome.
8:33 here at iFiber One News Radio, and the latest in local news is brought to you this time by Fred Holmes Tree Service.
From the iFiber One News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The Mason Transit Authority Board accepted the resignation of General Manager Brad Patterson yesterday in lieu of termination. Patterson served as Mason Transit General Manager since 2011. Transit Board Chairwoman Terry Jeffries, a Mason County Commissioner, declined to comment other than to say a complaint was filed against Patterson and investigated. Patterson was allowed to respond to the complaint. Jeffries said she could not discuss who filed the complaint, the nature of the complaint, or why the board asked for Patterson's resignation or be fired. She says that Patterson is on paid administrative leave through February 29th. The news of Patterson's resignation came after the board met for a half hour in closed session to discuss the matter. Danette Brannon, Mason Transit's finance manager since June 2012, was appointed as acting general manager. She was approached by the board 2 weeks ago after Patterson was placed on leave. During its regular meeting yesterday, the board agreed to pay her $1,000 a month more as long as she serves as acting general manager. Brannon was paid a little over $73,000 a year plus benefits as Mason Transit's finance manager. Brannon has not yet decided if she will apply for the permanent Mason Transit general manager opening, and the Transit Board has not yet begun searching for a new general manager. According to the separation agreement, Transit agreed to pay Patterson $25,000 in severance pay, and Patterson agrees not to have any contact with Mason Transit employees. Patterson also agreed to not disparage Mason Transit, its board members, and managers. Patterson's LinkedIn profile lists his current job as Transit Services Manager for the city of Greeley, Colorado. Mason County Commissioners can now meet in other counties or locations for regular meetings or joint meetings with other county commissioners. Commissioners Terry Jeffries, Randy Netherland, and Tim Sheldon unanimously adopted an ordinance to amend county code, allowing them to meet at other locations outside of Shelton. Shelton resident Tom Davis raised concerns about the proposal. He worried that commissioners could change the location of a meeting when there's a hot button issue between two counties with only a 24-hour notice, and suggested that there should be a 30-day notice to give people adequate time to plan to attend. Commissioner Sheldon said the resolution to the issue Davis raised was to elect good commissioners who would not abuse the legislation. adding that out-of-county meetings are rare. In order to hear directly from residents of Washington's 6th Congressional District, Representative Derek Kilmer is holding a series of town halls throughout the region, and he's in Mason County tonight. The town hall is from 5 to 6:30 p.m. in the Skookum Room at Mason County PUD 3 on East Johns Prairie Road in Shelton. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
This is Doug Sample from Whitney Chevrolet. Taxes are on everyone's mind. Make the most of your tax refund at Whitney Chevrolet in Montesano, where the sales tax is lower than most places in the state. Plus, other dealers' factory costs are more because they roll into the cost of the advertising. We don't do that, but we do offer lifetime oil changes on every new and used vehicle. Stop by or visit WhitneyChev.com.
A $150 negotiable document fee may be added to the price of all vehicles.
Drive to Whitney's, just down the road to Whitney.
The Chad Benson Show.
How in the world are you going to pay for all that you want to do? And you can only tax people to a certain point. People who are smart, guess what? They get sick and tired of it, and they find other ways to do stuff. All of a sudden, you go from having a certain percentage of something to 100% of nothing.
The Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, live weekdays 3 to 6 on iFIBER One News Radio.
Longhorns and Bears, oh my. Hi, everybody. Todd Ant reporting on sports. A pair of Texas schools pick off ranked teams in college hoops. 24th ranked Texas down 10th ranked West Virginia.
He'll fire three. He'll get the three. Third three for Connor Lambert. Largest lead for the Longhorns.
On ESPN, Texas wins 85-78. In Waco, Jonathan Motley scored 27 points to lead Baylor past number 13 Iowa State.
Step behind the three-quarter shot, air ball, and Prince has the ball. Here's a 3-on-2. Motley slams it home, and the foul called by Burton.
On ESPN Radio, Baylor takes the 100-91 overtime victory over Iowa State. NBA Clippers coach Doc Rivers said the team wasn't trading Blake Griffin despite the rumors.
Yeah, I told you we're not trading Blake, but I guess everyone else wants to keep doing that, so we'll let them do it. But not from us at all.
And Hornets forward Michael Kidd-Gilchrist done for the season with a shoulder injury. ESPN reporting that Miami Heat's Chris Bosh may be dealing with another blood clot, this time possibly in his leg, and he's resumed taking blood thinners for treatment. ESPN's NBA analyst Chris Broussard.
If it's season ending, there's not a move you're going to be able to make right now that's going to put you on the level of the Cleveland Cavaliers if you don't have Chris Bosh on the basketball court.
Bosh was sidelined last year because of a blood clot on one of his lungs. Plenty of hockey on a Tuesday night, and in Ohio, the Bruins stood tall in OT.
Darting into the right wing circle, drops it back for Krug. He'll throw it towards it, tap score! And the Bruins win it in overtime.
On 98.5, the Sports Hub, Boston pulled out a 2-1 win over Columbus. Bruins have won for the 10th time in the last 15 games. In the nation's capital, Evgeny Kuznetsov scored the tie-breaking goal with just 2:02 remaining in the game.
Burakovsky now trying to squeak it through. Chris quick, can't cover, loose in front. They score! Evgeny Kuznetsov!
On the Capitals Radio Network, Washington beat the LA Kings 3-1. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
8:39 here at Daybreak, and a good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey taking a look at sports, and Sue Bird continues to be the face of the Seattle Storm. The team announced the multi-year deal. She's the top free agent in the whole NBA, WNBA this season, although always expected to stay with Seattle. She's been here the whole time, drafted at number 1 back in 2002. Bird also has helped Seattle win WNBA championships in 2004 and 2010. In addition to starting to be training again with the Storm, she's working with the U.S. women's national team. The Olympics are this summer, and she is going to be, again, on the Olympic squad. She's helped the Americans win the last 3 Olympic titles. Overall, the U.S. will be trying for a 6th straight gold medal in Rio this summer. Former WWE wrestling star Aberdeen native Daniel Bryan talking to ABC News about his retirement at 34, seizures and concussions. His wife, it was a secret for quite a while, and finally his wife saw one of those seizures, and it was a very traumatic experience, and in spite of that, he asked her to keep it secret. He was a pro wrestler for 16 years, loved wrestling in a way that he's never loved anything else. Stepped out of the ring last year for good after having surgery on his neck. And again, he did not blame wrestling for his injuries or his early retirement. He noted that WWE even stopped him from wrestling after his last concussion, even though multiple doctors said he could compete. This Thursday on iFIBER ONE Newsradio, AM 1030 and FM 103.3, Gonzaga basketball versus Pacific. Pregame at 5:40, tip at 6. Saturday, they take on St. Mary's. Hour later, so we'll have the pregame at 6:40 and the tip-off at 7. 8:41 right now, and Carol Gardner's going to look at the weather.
Good morning. It's 46. Cloudy with rain developing this afternoon. Thunder possible. There's going to be rain, more steady rain later, and then it's going to be cloudy overnight with some showers. The rest of the week, more the same. Rain showers. Highs are going to stay right around 50, and right now it's 46.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You, from business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
8:41 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, and Port of Call is coming up in just a few moments here on iFIBER ONE, and getting close to 9 o'clock where ABC News will be on. Tom Hartman after that. We've got Dave Ramsey today, Chad Benson as well. Moving into the evening with Alex Jones, and Overnight America is at 10. That's the day's lineup, but first, we're going to dive deep into a Port of Call segment with Dick Taylor and John Dobson right after this.
Listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Say, what's for lunch? Breakfast. No, what's for lunch? Oh, yeah, breakfast. Breakfast for lunch? Yep. Then what's for dinner? Breakfast is. I thought you said breakfast was for lunch.
Oh, I totally did.
But now you're saying breakfast is for dinner.
Oh, yeah.
So, wait, is lunch for breakfast?
No, breakfast is for breakfast. With McDonald's all-day breakfast menu, which includes the Egg McMuffin, hot cakes, and hash browns, anytime is delicious breakfast time.
Man, I'm heading to McDonald's. Have a good afternoon.
Don't you mean good morning?
I do now.
McDonald's all-day breakfast menu varies by location. Introducing McDonald's signature crafted recipes. We're talking bold sandwiches featuring authentic ingredients.
What?
You know it, like the guacamole made with Haas avocados in the Pico guacamole recipe.
Wow.
Barbecue sauce made with Vidalia onions in the sweet barbecue bacon recipe.
Nice.
And bacon with maple seasoning in the maple bacon Dijon recipe.
Amazing.
Try them on chicken or beef.
I want to try them all.
It's a new way to enjoy McDonald's. Create your signature crafted sandwich today at participating McDonald's.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Tobert, your advertising consultant from iFIBER ONE News Radio. Are you missing customers because you only market to a specific group? iFIBER ONE News Radio can help you hit a larger group of buyers with our diverse audience. We are 24 hours of local and national breaking news, award-winning talk radio, and primetime sports, including local high school sports. What does this mean to you? This means our listeners listen longer to entire programs and don't switch to another station when a commercial comes on. Our coverage in the Puget Sound area hits over 500,000 listeners, including Mason County, Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, King, Pierce, Joint Base Lewis McCourt, and Kitsap County to the Bremerton Naval Base. All advertising is 100% tax deductible. So how can you afford not to advertise? Call me, Mark Tobert, at iFIBER ONE News Radio to become a total audience plan advertiser. Just call 360-426-1030.
iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
All right, for iFIBER ONE News Radio, it's 8:45, and we're diving on into a great conversation at Port of Call with Dick Taylor and John Dobson. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Welcome back from sunny San Diego.
Boy, I wish I could have brought some of it with you. It was, I guess, unseasonably warm down there. It got up to about 83 or something.
Oh, that's terrible.
It was.
I know.
Oh, woe is me. Now, there was a ton of people on the beaches. We saw the Midway, and it was a piece of machinery like nothing else. And then you just tell me that I was no more than 50 feet from your submarine. I didn't even know it.
Well, it's further than that, but it's, within a half a mile of there. Yeah.
We had to, I'm going to blame it on Kaiser. So we had to take Kaiser on the aircraft carrier, and by the end of the day, he was getting pretty done with it. So whatever. Maybe next time. What are you guys on the air with us today for?
Well, kind of good stuff. I mean, some good stuff. We're looking at our 5-year project planning for Sanderson Field. We're expecting a $8,000 grant from the FAA to completely resurface the runways at Sanderson Field.
All the runways?
The entire runway.
The entire runway.
Our primary runway.
The primary runway, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a huge project.
That's big. Yeah.
When is that gonna?
2019.
Oh, it's gonna
within
be
the
done, or it's gonna start in 2019.
It'll start and be done in the same year. Yeah.
Is that gonna affect the people next summer?
No.
The military coming in for the.
That's this summer.
This summer for Cascadia.
No, not at all.
No, we're good to go.
Well, great. So
last time it was done was in 95. So it's been a good 20 plus years, and they did what they call a slurry seal on it a couple of years ago, and it's just a coating that they put across with a whole bunch of fine gravel, and unfortunately the gravel or whatever they used, volcanic, it seemed to shred the tires on the airplane. So
that's not good.
Not cool.
Yeah, well, Kapowson, and we had a good conversation. I think the simple example is they could get maybe 18 months on a set of tires with all of the trips that they go up and down. But with this new slurry seal, they were lucky if they could get 4 months. So they were tearing them apart pretty quick. And so anyway, the FAA came out. We did some things to mitigate that, but the FAA came out and looked at that and said, we'll resurface the runway.
Really?
So, yeah.
So if they decided not to, who would have had to foot that bill?
Us.
Yeah,
taxpayer.
The taxpayers.
Yes.
Well, the taxpayers doing it.
I mean, eventually,
indirectly.
like the whole world, the whole country now.
It's federal funds, not local funds.
Yeah. We let the folks in Colorado help.
Yeah. Come on. Pony up a little.
We'll share a little bit. Yeah. So
that's great news.
It really is. I think it really sets a tone, for the airport long term. Its viability. What we're really trying to do is start to attract some corporations and corporate jets and that kind of thing. So when you have a runway of this size and with the instrument approaches and now the surfacing, it speaks volumes for us. So
is this a little word of mouth thing for airplanes to people talk to each other and say, well, Sanderson Field is a great place, watch your tires?
Yeah, that would happen at the local level. All of the local pilots, throughout the Puget Sound area kind of knew that there was a problem, which is part of the reason why we went out. My staff went out with, believe it or not, large vibratory steamrollers, and we rolled that runway right and left, up and down, and beat the heck out of that surface crush area, and then we vacuumed it literally and cleaned all of that stuff off. So at least now I think we can get maybe 12 months on a set of tires. So we extended the life of that, but it's still pretty rough. But everybody knew the problem initially, and so they stayed away until we got it fixed, and so the folks are starting to come back in.
And so this is kind of like just on a regular road when they do a chip seal. Is that kind of a similar thing?
That's the same process, but a different chip seal.
Sure.
Yeah, different materials.
Industrial grade chip seal. As opposed to.
There's a great photograph. I wish I'll try to find it for you sometime, but it's a 727 that turned off onto a taxiway and hit the brakes, and you can see all of the asphalt literally sliding in front of the tires because it's the wrong type of asphalt.
That was
mix.
at the Sanderson?
No. Just it's a great photograph to see though, because people don't understand the difference. You don't just go out and pave a runway like you would a street. It doesn't have the same loads on it. But when you put something that weighs 250,000 pounds up to 500,000 pounds and then hit the brakes, guess what's underneath, and that asphalt just slides away.
Wow. So, I never think about the tires on the planes.
Yeah.
But obviously they're...
Now you're going to start worrying about them, right?
No.
Well, that's great news.
So
that really is.
We're really excited about that.
What else good news can you share?
Well, we talked about marina once again. We're still deeply involved in marina processes. And
I think there's a good game plan going forward now. We had a nice meeting with a couple of our advisory folk and who are contractors and construction people, et cetera. And so I think we put up a pretty good game plan that we'll start on this year. The North Dock looks to be the best of the two docks. And so it's got some problems with the whalers, and it's got some problems with some tie-off issues. And that's part of that annexation issue that needs to take place so we can fix the last 78 feet of that dock. But once we complete that this summer, that should stabilize that for at least the next 5 to 7 years. No more work necessary on the North Dock. Then comes the South Dock, though, and that's a whole different animal. Commission right now, tentatively, we're setting aside $1 million for the rebuilding of the South Dock. This isn't going to be cheap. And actually, that $1 million is us doing a lot of the work in-house.
Sure.
If we were to vend it outside and do it, just all of a company, probably about $3.5 million. Would be the number.
Wow.
Marinas are not cheap anymore. It's extremely expensive. But if we do our work properly, anyway, we'll start looking at the construction of that, the engineering, design. Probably half of that price tag, by the way, is just in electrical. You think about the pedestals that are necessary, and those run anywhere from $500 to $700 each. So depending upon how many boats that you plan for, how many boathouses. Anyway, we'll start that. And then, of course, the big challenge there is we've asked our tenants who own boathouses to upgrade them. We want the styrofoam gone. We've talked about that in the past. And so we're this is the year we focus in on who is and who is not. So we're assuming the majority of them will, and we've seen a lot of improvements down there. In fact, if you haven't been down there lately, you want to go take a quick look, and right off the bat on the left-hand side on the North Dock, you can see several brand new ones that are out there that look just absolutely great. Some on the South side need a little bit of work, but we need to figure out who is going to stay, because before you can build that South Dock, you need to know where everybody's going to be positioned. Otherwise, you end up building cleats and tie-off areas that don't belong or are not necessary. Then you have the pilings that have to go along with that. So this is going to be quite an interesting project, but this is the year that we make those decisions and finally get that resolved once and for all. And so, that plus the Bay Area that we've talked about and the reclaiming of that, I think everybody's going to have something to be real proud of over the next 3 or 4 years.
So are you going to increase the amount of spaces, or is it going to stay the same on the new dock?
Basically the same. There's one area that we're looking at, but we've got to go through a permitting process. If you get on the South Dock, if you go out to the far end of it, you'll see a T. And I think, I don't know the whole history. I'm kind of guessing that it had to do with county jurisdiction versus city jurisdiction. You remember this annexation process? So rather than going into the county, they turned the last, I'm going to say 60 feet of it, turned it 90 degrees sideways and formed a T out of it. We'd like to straighten that back out, because if you do, then you still have the same boathouses attached to that, but now you've increased probably another 5 or 6 slips.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking for. And obviously the more that we can have, the more potential we have for revenue, and the more you can amortize that out over all of the tenants rather than just having a handful pay for it. So,
are these long-standing in-family slips and moorage? I mean, do they go from generation to generation, or is there some turnaround where new boat people can come in?
Yes, is the answer.
Okay.
The short answer.
Okay, very good.
There are people that have been there for years, and there is a certain amount of turnover, but generally it's pretty stable.
It really is. You see it with some of the families, and I won't mention any names, but yeah, there are a number of people that have been for, I don't know, 20, 30 years at least, so go back to the days 50 years ago when the Shelton Yacht Club was actually managing the marina, which was under contract to the port. And so, yeah, there's quite a family history down there, and quite a lot of, I'll just say, personal ownership and pride in the marina. You go back to 1972 when the port, again, just looking at some of the documentation, we put up $20,000 for materials. So talk about the $1 million, right? So it's $20,000 in materials, and the yacht club rebuilt the North and South Dock themselves, did a fabulous job on it, but nothing's been done since. So that's the challenge that you run up against. But again, the people that were there, a lot of them are still there even today. I was talking with one tenant. He said, yeah, there's about 8 or 9 of us. We just did all of the maintenance and did all the work, and we're all getting kind of tired, and we're sure hoping you're going to fix it.
Yeah, I bet.
So.
Is that a common thread? You've mentioned a couple names who have helped over the last couple years, but is it a good, it's a good, strong community down there, and people do take pride in that stuff.
I think, there's a lot of common ground between what you see at the marina and what you see at the airport. And it is a family, it is a social event, a social affair. It's everybody looking out for the next guy type thing. So, yeah, and there is some pride in ownership down there, and they want to see it look good and function well. So, we're learning a few things, from them as they're understanding a little bit. There's a little different tone when it comes under government, because obviously we have to be responsible to the taxpayers.
Sure.
So you can't just immediately put whatever you want down there. You've got to blend it in with the needs of over 12,000 voters. So.
Every time you guys come in, it seems like more and more good news. You always have something positive to share with the community about port property. We're running just about out of time, but do you have anything left to pass along? No, not this time?
No.
I like it. Well, we will surface on out of here and talk with you guys again next week during Port of Call. Good to see you. Good news on the runway, and we will wrap things up here right after this check from the old farmer on Daybreak.
Listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
We celebrate the year's most diminutive month with a tribute to all things short. That is shortly on the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Wednesday, February 17th, the 48th day of the year. NBA great Michael Jordan has a birthday, and 50 years ago today, Brian Wilson began work on the rock classic Good Vibrations. February may have an extra day this year, but it is still the shortest month. A good excuse for some fascinating facts about the world's shortest things. The shortest scheduled airplane flight, for example, is about 1.5 miles. It's between 2 Scottish isles. The world's shortest river, the Roe River in Montana, 201 feet long. And the world's shortest professional boxing match was in 1946, when Ralph Walton was dropped in 10.5 seconds, including the 10-second count. We could go on, but our short bit of airtime is up. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Find more fun facts online at almanac.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It's 8:58 at Daybreak, iFIBER ONE News Radio. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. Happy to be back here on a Wednesday morning.
Happy to get up early.
I wouldn't go that far, but right. I was up. So normally my alarm goes off at 3:55. I was up at 4:55.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd fall back asleep for a little bit. Stephanie, I think Kaiser needs you. I'm on holiday. Tomorrow on the big show, we've got Jeannie Raywalt coming in to talk about an upcoming community gardening workshop through the Garden Gate. The classes are at Memorial Hall, 2nd and Franklin, from 9 to noon on Saturday. This upcoming will be fruit trees, planting, pruning, and care. That's going to be a great conversation with Jeannie tomorrow at this at 7:45, I should say. Sports director Sean Wells in at 8:33 tomorrow to talk about Mac Classic, which is this weekend, and there's 22 local kids going to be part of that. Spring training for the Mariners is coming up, so we'll kind of get his predictions for the upcoming Mariners season. We are looking over our Mariners broadcast things right now, so we are getting forward to airing at least 10 spring training games. And then when we get to the regular season, of course, they're mostly in the evenings here, and we've got it for you on the radio, AM 1030 and FM 103.3. Love hearing the Mariners on a nice, hot afternoon. Right. Man, bring back. I was asking some folks yesterday if they thought that Kaiser may be too young yet to go to a Mariners game. because he's just going to be 2. And I said, well, I can barely last through the 5th inning. So who knows what he's going to be able to do.
You can barely last through the 5th.
Well, I sit there through the 5th, and then I start walking around the stadium.
7th inning stretch.
Oh, we had the 5th inning.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Mornings start with Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio. Join Jeff and Carol weekdays from 6 to 9 on AM 1030 and FM 1033 KMAS Shelton.
ABC News, I'm Daria Aldinger. Can they do it? Apple says sure, but not if the company has any say about it. It's vowing to fight a federal judge's order that it hack into an iPhone owned by one of the San Bernardino